Good afternoon, boys, girls, and MBs of all shapes, sizes, colors, and orientations. Welcome back to the one, the only Alec Gunter stream. My name is Alec Gunter. I will be your host this lovely evening for some Flash debates. Why are you doing that? Why you're fucking up on me? Okay, well, my OBS decided to do this thing that it likes to do sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly close out of it, and then I'm going to reopen it, and just pray that that does not completely fuck my stream. I will be right back, everybody who is watching on YouTube, Twitch, or otherwise. If you're on Discord, you will still be able to see me just fine. If, by the way... Oh wait, I didn't do the command. Shit. I gotta fix that real quick. Hold on. Let me do that and then I'll end. And then that'll give you guys time to go to the Discord server. Join the Platinum Politics Discord server to debate Alec Gunter. Okay. We're gonna get started in just a second here, I promise. I know that you guys are here for some sweet debates, some blood sports. Give me just a minute to fix some things. I have had so many problems today. It's not even funny. Hello, T-Doggy Dog. Welcome. Welcome in. I will be... you guys will get effed for just a second. Hopefully... Hold on one second. Let me set up... Stream elements... Chatbot. Commands. Debate. Okay, and now I just have to do that on my Twitch account. Oh yeah, and I gotta monetize the stream. Okay, stream monetized. Okay, let's see if this works. Exclamation debate. It does not work. Why does it not work? How about on Twitch? Does it work on Twitch? This is a mess. Give me just a second, guys. I'm sorry. Baldy, thank you. Stop swearing, bald man. I like swearing. It's fun. Okay, well, wait. No. That's not what it's supposed to say. Hold on. Fuck me. Okay, just delete the command. Just delete it. Delete. Add. Debate. Try it again. Exclamation. Debate. There we go. Okay. Everything seems to be fucking up on me today. I can't explain why. It just seems like the universe is very upset at me for some reason. I don't know what I did to piss it off. I'm innocent. I never did anything wrong. Activate. And now it should work. That is at debate. I want exclamation debate. There it goes. Okay, we're good. All right, here's what's going to happen. I am going to close out of OBS for just a second. Let me test this again. Yeah, so I'm going to close out of OBS for just a second because it's being fucky. I am hoping that it will not completely end the stream. You're going to see you're going to feel a slight F. I'll be right back. Okay, we should be good. Okay, well I had multi-chat working, now it's not. Whatever, I'll just do what I've been doing. Alright, Chatterino. Alright, we're gonna get started in just a second, guys. Alright, we got the apparatus. Okay, real quick. Got a few things to show off, of course. We have to do this first. This is required. This is required viewing if you're gonna debate me, okay? So you gotta deal with it. So this is Mr. Snowman. I crocheted him myself. He has removable hat with drawstrings. It's a little bit big on him, but I think it's cute, personally. Very cute. Not on Etsy yet. And then, more exciting. Admire the sire. All must admire the sire. In order to debate me, you must admire the sire. Admire it now. Our sire? Indeed. This is actually going to be for a friend, so it's not going to be mine. I admire the sire. There you go. Okay, that is all I have to show off. I'm not going to waste time, you know, yucking about my day. It was a long one, and I took a 2-hour nap, and it feels like I just woke up. Even though I did not. A shower, and now I'm here. What are the debate topics? Anything you would like. I am a leftist, I'm a communist, I'm a humanist, a former atheist. I like socialism. I like healthcare for all. I like housing for all. I like food for all. I like Palestine. I think One Piece is good. There you go. I like Ukraine. Well, I don't like... It's not that I like Ukraine. It's that I think Ukraine is being... Okay, we have a request. On God I Love Water took initiative. So I'm going to bring up On God I Love Water first. I will try to take you in the order in which you request, but I cannot... Yeah, actually, don't request yet. Don't request yet. Request when... If you request while I'm talking to On God I Love Water, I will not consider you next. I could debate on communism. There you go. Okay, let's take you. Drag you up. Yeah, actually, let's just disappear you. There we go. Actually, I don't know if I like that. I'll keep it on. You can go there. Full screen you. Okay. Pause the music. Crack open a can of Coca-Cola. Grab some popcorn, folks, because here we go.
Hello, Alec.
Alrighty, let me turn you up real quick. Can you say the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, please?
The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Okay, I think that's good, folks. Let me know if there is any problems with the volume. If not, we are going to proceed. Hello, is water okay, or would you like me to call you something else?
Yeah, waterworks.
Okay, waterworks. Water, how are you doing?
Doing all right.
Oh,
doing
and
all
I gotta
right.
set a
We're
timer.
back.
Sorry.
We're at it again.
Timer.
Stay natural.
Give me 1
So,
second.
okay, yeah.
Timer, 15 minutes, and whenever you're ready, go ahead and start. I'll start the timer.
Perfect.
Unless you want
Why
to
do
shoot
you
the shit
support...
just a second.
Pardon?
Nothing, go ahead.
Okay. How do you... So when you said you're pro-Palestine, right?
Indeed, I am. That is
What
accurate.
does that mean to you? Because I've seen extremes from I support Hamas, which most people don't have, and then I've seen extremes on the other side. It's just like I just don't want any war, right? What would you say when you say you support pro-Palestine?
Well, Hamas is a resistance group, so it is like the only resistance group in the area with any like legitimate power to combat Israel, and that's why people have put their stock behind them. Israel is invading Palestine and committing apartheid and committing genocide. So it is difficult for me to sit here and entertain the idea like Hamas bad, because I'm not saying they're good. You know, like they're a politically motivated group. They commit violence, sometimes a little unnecessarily, sure. But when you stack that against Israel and the shit that they're doing, I can't get behind this idea that I should care.
Wait, so if you can't get, so you're referring to like the care about like when Hamas rapes women and children on October 7th, attacks Israel repeatedly with missiles for the past 20 something years, hijacks planes, kills Israeli athletes, like none of that.
Well, those all
Especially when it's
sound
like
like
targets
very
like the Palestinian Authority. Yeah.
those all
Sorry, I
sound
didn't
like
mean to
very bad. No, you're fine. Those all sound like very bad things that would not have happened had Israel not invaded Palestine.
They didn't. What I'm talking about with like the missile attacks and like 2000, that was unprompted. That was during the like in between the first and second Intifada. Like there was no invasion of Gaza at this time. There was
There's
no genocide or anything like that. Yeah.
Israel has been in Gaza since like the 1940s or 50s or 60s,
Not
between the
even
40s and
no.
60s.
Whoa, no, they
No?
haven't. So in '67, they got like the land after a war that Egypt and the surrounding Arab coalition like fought them. Like they Israel did a preemptive strike, but it was very clear that the surrounding states were going to attack Israel. This has been disputed by some, but it seems by every account, if you want to go through the facts of it, that Israel was justified in preemptively striking the surrounding Arab countries. That was the only time up until I think after 73 and Yom Kippur when they gave back the Sinai and they gave back the land of Gaza, and I think they gave back West Bank to Jordan.
Well, how nice of them to give it back.
Well, yeah, especially after the Arab countries around them tried to kill them all in a genocide. Yeah, that was pretty
Didn't
nice, actually.
didn't you say that Israel committed a preemptive strike?
Yeah, after the Arab nations around them mobilized, they kicked out UN peacekeepers in the Suez. Nasser literally said in public speeches that he wanted to go to war with Israel again, and that he was going to close the Suez, which caused the Suez crisis of '56. So he knew that there would be a conflict. That's why he kicked out the UN peacekeepers. That's why he started mobilizing the army, and like it was very clear that they were posturing for war.
Okay, but Israel started it.
Okay, do you think if Poland invaded Nazi Germany on like on like August 31st, right, before September 1st, when World War II historically starts, do you think that would be justified?
If Poland invaded Nazi Germany in 19 in
Yep.
no,
Before the war
actually, no.
starts, you don't think so? Okay,
No.
why would you say not?
Because invading another nation against their will and killing civilians is never okay, even if it's Poland doing it to innocent people during Nazi Germany. Like, that is not okay.
I would hardcore disagree because like the outcome, especially because now we have, especially because we're talking with the knowledge of hindsight. Even if we get rid of the hindsight and we put ourselves in the situation of the Poles, okay, very clearly Germany has been posturing for war. They've mobilized troops on the border. They have their navy sailing out near Danzig. It is very clear they're going to invade, and you are a weaker country. You've seen what happened to the countries around them when they tried to invade, similar to how Israel has had conflicts beforehand where the Arab countries have invaded first. Every single war before 67 was started by the Arab coalition. Thus, I think it would be reasonable for Poland or Israel to attack Germany to save their country, their citizens, and to prevent one of the worst disasters that would have been for the Jewish people in either situation, whether it's World War II, the Holocaust, or it's a second Holocaust if Israel had lost.
So how did that work out for Israel?
It worked out
Did it
really
work?
well. They were able
Oh,
to
it did.
take back
Okay.
a lot of
So nobody
land.
was raped
Yeah,
then,
like
right?
if you're referring to war crimes, yeah, they happen. It wasn't systemic like how Hamas did on like October
No.
7th. If that's what you're referring to.
What I'm referring to is October 7th. October 7th still
Oh,
happened.
okay. Sure. So when I say 67 was good, obviously it wasn't good long term, but like the alternative is that Israel gets attacked by the Arab countries around them. They don't mobilize, so they get caught off guard. The nation gets like obliterated, like literally eradicated from the map. There would be no Israel, and the Jewish people there would be exterminated or ethnically cleansed entirely from the land.
If Israel has the means by which to invade another nation preemptively, they have the
Right.
means by which to defend themselves.
That's
Does that make
no.
sense?
Hold a minute,
They,
Alec. I understand what you're getting at, where if a country has the ability to project power into another country, they probably have the means to defend themselves. The problem is when four countries are going to attack your country, and those nations are already mobilized. And because like if you look at, do you know much about the '67 war? It's okay if not, no judgment.
Not really. I have it pulled up on Wikipedia.
Okay, if you look at how effective that preemptive strike was, it is literally considered like one of the greatest ones, besides like what we did in Desert Storm in like 2003 or like during the Gulf War. It was incredibly effective. I want you to look at those casualties and imagine a scenario where all of those forces that Israel destroyed were mobilized in a strike against Israel when they didn't have their air force up, when they didn't have their troops mobilized for war, because again they were in peacetime, right? They still have the mandatory service, but they don't have, like, for example, like troops called up into active duty in the same way that you would during war. Imagine that. Do you think that, like, I personally am of the belief that Israel would have been wiped out. I think most people could agree with that. What do you think?
I don't think that Israel had to kill anybody. That's what I think.
Okay, that's not the question I asked you. Because True, Israel could have just sat there and got shot, and then
Or restrained.
holocausted. Yeah, restrained. What do you mean by restrained?
Take prisoners of war.
You think? Okay.
My point is they're not doing any of this by peaceful means or even trying to. They're killing civilians
Because-
left and right. There are literally
Hold on a minute.
reports about... Go ahead.
Civilians? Yeah, hold on. I don't know why you're saying that they could have done it by peaceful means. They were trying to, and then the nations around them decided to mobilize for war, and they said expressly that they wanted to go to war. They did the actions that one would do if they wanted to go to war, like Egypt kicking out UN peacekeepers. Why would they kick out UN peacekeepers? That
Oh, they
makes
didn't kill
no
them?
sense. The Egyptians kicked them out. Yeah, they didn't
Okay.
kill them.
Well, let's
They
take a
kill
look
them,
at the
yeah.
Egyptians kicking out the peacekeepers then. When did this happen?
67.
Okay, in 67. So I have that pulled up.
Sure.
So let's see. Let's see if I can find Egypt in this article. Okay, Egypt. Suez Crisis. Was this
Suez is,
1956 Suez Crisis? Suez Crisis?
No, there was the 56 Suez crisis that involves that, but there also were peacekeepers that were there on 67. I can pull up like a link for an article that talks more about that.
Sure. Go on.
Yeah.
What I have pulled
let's
up
see if we do
is
wiki.
through the 1950s, Jordan and Egypt supported the Palestinian Fedayeen militants'
Yeah.
cross-border attacks into Israel, while Israel carried out its own reprisal operations in the host countries. The 1956 Suez Crisis this is already, by the way, after the Arab-Israeli War. So there's the Declaration of the
one.
Establishment
Yeah.
of the State of Israel on 14th of May in 1948. The Arab League decided to intervene on behalf of Palestinian Arabs, marching their forces into former British Palestine, beginning the main phase of the 1948 Arab-Israeli War.
What were they intervening on? Like, what was happening for them to intervene?
That's what I'm looking for. The 1947 United Nations Partition Plan, which happened a year earlier. Let's see. Recommended the adoption
a
and
little
implementation.
Kind of.
Okay, so
Yeah.
to partition Palestine into an Arab state, a Jewish state, and the city of Jerusalem. Palestinian Arabs were opposed to the partition. Zionists accepted the partition, but planned to expel so as a two-state solution.
Pretty much. Technically three, but yeah, there's like a little international corridor. But yeah, other than that, yeah, two-state solution.
Sure. So we're on the same page. So planned to expand Israel's borders beyond what was allocated to it by the UN. On the next day, Palestine was swept by violence, igniting the first phase of the Palestine War. For 4 months
Who started that?
It just says Palestine was swept by violence. The 1940. Here, I can look it up. Hold on.
Yeah, it was the Palestinian Arabs. There are some sources that say it was the Israelis, but there hasn't been much documentation about Israeli militias starting it. It seems to be mostly Arab militias in response to the partition plan being like extremely antagonized to the point where they were attacking Zionist militias and other like Jewish communities in the Levant in general. This was started by them.
Sure, just real quick. I would love to get into a longer conversation with you about this. We have 3.5 minutes. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, real quick. How are things going with the radical empathy stuff?
I think it's
This
going
isn't really a
great.
debate thing. I'm just wondering. Okay.
No, you're fine. I think it's going. We can talk about whatever you want. It's your time, but I think it's going great. I think that you and I, obviously, I need to do more research on this. I'll try to do so before we have our next conversation. If you would like to continue this conversation, you know, it seems like you feel pretty strongly about this. And if I'm wrong about what's going on in Israel and Palestine, I'd like to know. But so far, I just haven't been convinced that I am. We can talk about who started it, who whatever. But ultimately, what I see with my own eyes is what I believe. And what I see is a whole lot of the IDF doing a whole lot of offending and not a whole lot of defending against, Palestinian civilians. It's quite jarring, actually. It's disgusting to me. Like
I could agree to some extent. Yeah.
Yeah. If I can ask you this.
Yeah.
What tell me something to convince me that seeing those things does not mean that Israel is committing atrocities.
So like there isn't anything that I could say because that would be like I'm assuming when you mean Israel, you mean like the IDF, right?
Yes,
Okay.
essentially, and Netanyahu, who's like in command.
Yeah. Would you? So the difference is that in the IDF, it's not systematic. I think that systematic versus lone actions matters a lot. Systematic, like for me, encompasses like if a commander sees it happening and doesn't report it, and that's like throughout the IDF, right? That would be an example of like a systemic problem. But like in every military, including our own, this has been a problem for ever since the beginning of man picking up sticks and rocks to fight each other. Um, like I don't know how I could convince you that there aren't atrocities because I would agree with that. There are atrocities on both sides of this conflict. I would say though that in Israel you're going to see people be prosecuted for these crimes. In Gaza they'll be celebrated. That's like
Okay,
the best way I could phrase that.
can you give me? You have 1 minute.
Yeah.
Can you give me like one example of an IDF person who's been prosecuted for what they've done?
Yeah. There's a detention center. I forget the name of it. But there was a detention center in Israel where I think it was three or something like that. There were a group of Palestinian prisoners who were sexually assaulted and raped. And they were abused in other forms. This was a very controversial prison because the way that they did things was borderline, if not outright, in this case, torture. Um, the people involved with that were prosecuted, and I think they're still in the middle of that court case. It's been going. Last time I checked, it was going on. That was in like a few months ago. I could get
Okay.
back to you on that specific case, but
Yeah, sure.
it does seem to happen at least, and especially like historically, it's happened like after other interventions or other.
Okay. All right, we can talk about this more later. Thank you very much for coming up. I really appreciate it. I will definitely.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm sorry that I do not have that much knowledge about the history of Israel. If I
No,
had,
you're
we
good.
could have probably gotten further into like. I like to look at it like this. This is a good segue into this point. You don't have to have the knowledge on hand in order to enter a conversation. You can just go in,
Yeah,
and hopefully two
absolutely.
people can learn together. But if you have the knowledge already, it just accelerates the conversation. It makes it much faster and you get to the point faster. So we couldn't reach that point
Right.
because I'm not educated. So I apologize for that. But
No, no, don't be. I'm never gonna hold it against you. Like
okay.
the fact you're having this conversation uneducated, and you're willing to listen and like learn is monumentally like it fills me with hope, right? That there are still people who are still willing to listen and learn. I
Sure. Of
appreciate that, and of course you're
course.
not being like, oh my god, thank you for telling me this. Now I believe everything you say. It's speculative. I appreciate that. But I'm gonna hop off. I will DM you, talk about that. Maybe we can set up a
Yeah.
different time for this. But yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
we can definitely set something up. Thank you very much for coming up, Water.
No problem.
All right. Take care. Alrighty. Punisher Games. I'm not bringing you up. You put your hand up while I was talking. Whoever puts their hand up next gets to come up. Request to speak. All right. I saw Von Clausewitz first. Everyone else, put your hands down. Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta stop and start the recording. Okay. Oh, there you are.
So is this just a we ask you questions thing, or I actually didn't know?
This is a whatever you want it to be thing. If you want to debate, you want to ask questions, whatever you want. It's your
I was
time.
gonna ask you. Okay, I'll just be really quick.
Sure.
Do you think that because you were just talking about Israel and Palestine a bit, right?
Mhm.
The war, and I don't wanna go like into that a lot, but do you think that 'cause a lot of people have opinions about it? Do you think that that people have enough knowledge to have opinions about it? Do you think that's something that matters?
Here's the thing. It is going to take a lot to convince me that what Israel is doing in Palestine is completely justified, especially when I see starving children who are just and children without limbs and like how do I see that and then look at the people who did it and think, you know what, that's probably justified. They probably had a reason to do that. Like, I don't know. Like, don't you think that that's a
Sure.
really steep hill to
No,
traverse?
I mean, I agree, right? Like, but I would just point out that when I've looked at the Israel-Palestine conflict, I would just say that I have seen, whenever I see when I see the conflict, I see tons of dead bodies on both sides, and I see no interest in either side in like peace, and I wonder why I'm supposed to support either side in this or support a particular position. That's where I get kind of um, confused about. I'm not arguing you should back either side, but I wonder why I'm supposed to back either side when they both seem
Sure.
interested in fighting.
Sure. I'm not saying Hamas are angels, okay? I don't think that, but they
Okay.
are the only resistance group over there against Israel, and I view Israel as the oppressor. Is that how you view it,
Okay.
or do you view it differently?
I mean, I view it as I view it as a state. I don't really know if why is it? I don't really know if I believe in like oppressor oppression as a thing, right? Like,
As it, wait,
Israel may be oppression. Oh, like, well, let me just feel what I'm saying. Like,
you don't
Israel
believe?
may be oppressed.
Go ahead.
What? Like, I like it to all you have to oppress someone, all you need is a gun to shoot people and threaten people and hurt people, right? Like oppression doesn't require a large system. So Hamas is definitely a less powerful actor, but Hamas doesn't need Hamas can oppress all sorts of Palestinians in Gaza or Israelis in Israel. They don't need to have like the largest military. You don't need to have the large military or to have the supreme power to oppress people, right?
I mean, you kind of do. You need to have the biggest gun.
No, you just need a gun. You just need to be able to hurt people, man. To oppress someone, I can go to any society and I have a gun. I can make someone's life miserable, right? Like
Someone.
it doesn't take a million. It doesn't take a million uh rockets or the most advanced aircraft or anything like that, right?
Sure. If I take my gun, right,
Uh,
and I hold it to somebody's head and force them to do things, I'm the oppressor, correct?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there you
Right.
go. Yeah.
Now, we live in a society in which we have an apparatus of power above that person, such that if he does that, there's protocol in place to use that sweeping power to grab this guy and restrain him and subdue him, right?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So we have, like, in the United States, obviously we can talk about
Sometimes.
how the
I mean,
United States
depends
is
on
in
the
a,
situation, but yeah.
huh? What was that?
Yeah, depending on the situation, I guess. Yeah. But
Well,
yeah, generally.
what I'm trying to say is the United States, let's just, for all intents and purposes, say the United States is like a great place and not oppressing anybody, etc. Like,
Sure.
in
Yeah.
an ideal world, my point is, you would have
Wait,
a state apparatus, right? Or some
right.
apparatus. Doesn't have to be the state for all you anarchids out there, but we have some kind of apparatus which has
Right.
a monopoly of power, basically owned and operated by a democracy, which can then come in, grab people like that, and subdue them. And you are only an oppressor if you use that power for bad. If the power is owned by a democracy of everybody, then it's kind of hard for that power to be used to oppress anybody. You know what I mean?
Okay, but these are two oppressive forces, right? They're both oppressing. They both do oppressive things, right? Like both Hamas and Israel. Like Hamas is executing militants in the street. I don't know if you saw those videos or their own civilians, however you want to call it, right? There's no like non-oppressor here. They're both oppressor. They both oppress people, unless you
Yes,
disagree with that.
but when we talk about the more powerful one, right?
Okay,
Like,
well, why do I care? Why do I care about the more powerful oppressor? Like you got two
what?
oppressive states. But what I care? Well, why do I care which oppressor is more powerful? They're both doing oppressive things.
Well, we agree they're fighting each other, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the one with the bigger gun is doing, like, it has the capability to do more oppression.
Okay. Sure, but why is that interesting, right? You have Hitler and Stalin are fighting each other. One's more powerful than the other. Why do I particularly say, oh, Stalin's got the bigger guns or Hitler's got the bigger guns? So morally, I agree with Hitler or Stalin because they have the bigger guns. Why does that matter?
Well, because first of all, in my
Okay.
view of what's happening, Israel is they're the group that, started this conflict. They're the group that brought their forces into the area and started killing people. So,
but they
so
were
whatever.
in a
Go
hostage.
ahead.
But there was like an ongoing conflict where people took hostages, took them into a place, then you go back into that place to go fight, right? Like this was a mutual. This was an ongoing conflict which continued and escalated October 7th. This was an ongoing conflict that's been going for like decades, right?
Well, yeah.
Just a continuation of that conflict. This wasn't like some guy invaded tomorrow. This was like an ongoing conflict that hasn't ended, right? Because no one's got no peace agreement. This isn't like because it's a war, right? Like you just equate all wars as oppressor and oppression because wars just are people who don't like each other and think I think I should have your land and you think I should have my land, right? You know,
Yeah,
isn't that
sometimes
just
that's
war?
sometimes that's what a war is, sure. But in this case, Israel is simply far more powerful. They're backed by the United States of America, the most powerful nation on earth.
So every time there's a powerful force backed by the U.S., we're gonna assume that they're the wrong country, wrong party in whatever war is going on. Yeah, you can throw it away.
Well,
You
no,
know,
I guess I can already
that's
see
the
an issue.
assumption.
hmm
Yeah,
I guess I
go
can
ahead.
already see an issue with this logic because we also support Ukraine.
Yeah,
And frankly, the Russia is, I mean, Ukraine is tiny compared to Russia. But again, Russia is the invading force, right? And so,
okay.
in a vacuum without the United States, Russia was uh, invading and oppressing Ukraine. Do we agree on that?
Okay. I mean, I think like most conflicts, you're just like equating their right? Because they're small. Like I don't like. I'd say Ukraine's maybe more right, but I also know Ukraine may have been oppressing some of the Russians in the Donetsk region, right? Like you could argue that. Does that make Russia 100% right? Probably not. Does it make Ukraine probably more right? Yeah, but these are conflicts because there's people who have disagreements and there's different perceptions of what's going on, and people mutually think I'm being oppressed, right? You have a bunch of people who think they're being oppressed, right? In
hmm
Russia, you have the Ukrainians who think they're being oppressed by Russia because Russia's trying to dominate the country, and then you have Russians who think they're oppressed by the Ukrainian government, right?
Okay, so you got about seven
So,
minutes left, just so you know.
okay, that was all I wanted to point out. So,
Sure. So you're what it sounds like what you're looking for is a perfect victim.
okay, well, no, I'm asking that since I don't ask for a perfect victim. I just don't. I feel like your morality is like creating a mindset that you've decided this person's the victim when and ignoring just how conflicts go. So instead of saying, "Hey, there's a mutual conflict going on," that maybe has one person maybe is more in the wrong, but why would you say like victim? There aren't victims in conflicts. There's like two sides fighting each other frequently due to misunderstandings, disagreements, or things like that, right?
But
And once you start just throwing oppressor and oppressor, you're completely ignoring that one side might have that they might both have some responsibility for the conflict. That's my point to you.
okay, let's downscale this. Let's say that we live in like the 1800s and there is a slave, the house slaves versus the field slaves, right? Like the house slave. Okay, so you have a house slave. And the house slave decides he hates his life so much that he's going to start abusing one of the kids in the house, right? So he just starts hitting this kid and whatever else in private, and he threatens this kid. If you ever tell the parents, I am going to whatever you, right? So he's not a perfect victim, obviously. He should not be doing that. It's a very bad thing for him to be doing. But had he never been a slave, it never would have happened, right?
Okay.
Hurt people,
So
hurt people.
yeah. So does that remove all their responsibility because someone else hurt them? Because
Well, no, but I think the priority here is to make him not a slave anymore.
okay,
And then he can, be. My goal is rehabilitation. Everybody wants to talk about punishment and their pound of flesh. Like, this guy was a fucking slave from birth to death, you know? Like, if he had been freed at some point, and this did happen, I'm sure, like, bad people who were slaves were then freed. My goal would be to rehabilitate them and reintegrate them into society, not to punish them, you know?
sure.
So, all this is to say, it sounds like you're looking for a perfect victim when the reality is
Well,
when you have
I'm
an
just asking
oppress
you to think more. I'm just looking for you to think of more things than victim and perpetrator, because I think the minute you start with that as your moral compass, you are like you're just ignoring. You'll find yourself ignoring tons of different things because you are trying to equate the world into these two things, and you've figured everything out down pat once you've sorted everything into that. That's all I was going to say. That's all I felt. Wanted to point out that it's when you look at the world that way, there's just no you're ignoring all the different elements that might go to wars, all the different responsibilities people might have on both sides, and things like that, because you basically already sorted all that out with one fell swoop.
Okay. I mean, you got about 3.5 minutes. Do you want to keep
Okay,
going down
I'm
this
good. I'm
track,
good.
or
No,
you're
no,
done?
I'll move it down. Thank you for. I just want to make my point. Thank you
Okay.
very much for having me on. I'll move it down.
Absolutely. You have a good one. Thanks for coming up. Here, I'll move you. There you go. I do want to say for the record, real quick. Obviously, I'm still, I'm still pro-Palestine. I don't know how well I explained myself on that one, but it was an interesting discussion topic, I guess. It's just like, it's not, I guess it's not necessarily the person with like the bigger gun has to be the oppressor, because the Ukraine is backed by the United States. But at the same time, it's like they're only backed by the United States because a bigger power than them, Russia, tried to invade them. So, I don't know. It's not my favorite topic. I need to get better at global politics. We live in a society mentioned. That's pretty true. I see large 2570. Come on up.
Can you
Alrighty,
hear
hello
me?
there. Yes, I can. How are you doing,
Oh,
Large?
fantastic. I am doing fantastic, Mr. Alec. How about you? I just got a promotion, got a girlfriend now. Life has been treating me so well.
Sounds amazing. I'm happy for you. It's
Thank you.
awesome.
And I'm happy today is going well for you too.
It is, it is. Alrighty,
It's
let me
great to
restart this
hear.
timer. Alrighty, you got 15 minutes. Let's hear it.
Alrighty. Do you know who John Rocker is?
I do not. Should I look him up?
Yeah, you can look him up. I can give you a little synopsis of him though, if that helps. He was a Braves. He was a baseball player. He played for the Braves predominantly, but he was known as being how do I put this nicely for him? Extremely racist. I
Okay.
know, not the best human being to ever live.
Okay.
And he'd go on like Sports Illustrated and like Atlanta talk shows, and he'd be like, "Man, I hate New York. I hate the foreigners in New York and stuff." And he got a lot of criticism for it, rightly so.
Okay.
Should he have been allowed to say those things? Should he? Because one of his go-to things, one of his excuses for it isn't that he's right about all these foreigners. It's that I have the right to say something that's wrong. That's what his excuse was. Now we can go to like the moral like argument of if he's saying something that he knows is wrong, should he be saying it and stuff? But that's essentially, what I want to talk about.
Sure. What do you mean by allowed? Like, who's stopping him and what are they doing to stop him?
Well, no one was stopping him. I'm not claiming anyone was.
Okay.
I'm saying
So,
that people that want him to stop, like people who don't think, oh, a hate speech should be persecuted, saying those things should get you in jail, like people claim that stuff.
I don't think it
Should it
should
have been
land you.
enforced?
Go ahead.
Should that stuff be enforced? I don't know. I'm asking you.
Sure. I don't think that it should land you in jail. That's what you're asking. I think that you're more than like your boss is more than happy to fire you for it, and I think that's fine
Of course,
because
of
like, it's pretty horrific stuff to say. If you get blacklisted from certain outlets, obviously like that's going to happen because again, very very bad stuff to say. But when you say allowed, I'm not sure entirely what you mean. If you just mean getting arrested, no, I don't think you should be allowed to. I think you should be allowed to say those things without getting arrested. You're just going to be socially ostracized.
I agree. I do believe I'm a free speech absolutist, but free speech absolutism doesn't mean freedom of consequences of what you say.
Right. In an ideal world, I would just want to raise people who don't do that. And in order to do that, we have to improve circumstances for people because you're far less likely to hold ideas like that. First of all, if you're not taught them. And if you're the first one who's teaching that to other people, you only got those ideas because you are, you've been hurt so badly. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
Because
I just think that like people who hurt other people, it's hurt people, basically.
sometimes I think someone's just like someone went wrong during their birth. One of them brothers they weren't born right. Like King Von. You think that guy wasn't like he wasn't touched by Satan when he was born?
Who's King Von again?
He was the rapper who killed like 34 people and then proceeded to rap about it. Like took her to the O.
Oh.
And then Murder Story, where he rapped about how he got a girl to bring a guy to like get shot and stuff.
I mean,
Like
certainly
that's him.
there are a handful of people who just like they can think in their heart of hearts that they are completely justified in killing people for no reason. Like that's just the thing that they like doing. They don't value human life at all. But I think that those are extraordinarily few and far between. I think that trying to categorize somebody there is going to take it's going to take a lot to convince me that a person, like, not that that person exists, because I know they do, but that a specific person is that person. You know what I mean?
Kinda.
Like, okay, so King Von, right? I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
My best guess is that somebody
He
hurt him
really
very
is
badly.
evil. He really is evil, bro.
Okay, maybe he is. I don't know. But my best guess would be, having known nothing about him for my entire life up to this point, is that he was hurt really badly by somebody or something in his life that caused him to go down that route.
Well, he was born in Oblak. That's what went wrong.
In where?
He's from Oblak.
Chicago,
You know
Illinois.
Oblak?
I'm not
Yeah,
familiar.
it's
No,
like
I'm not familiar with Chicago's like layout.
it's like one of the most violent areas in the nation, or it was.
Okay, well there you
They all
go.
became Muslim recently, I think.
There
But
you go. Somebody hurt him. Like
staple
he.
of the black community, my community. Hell yeah.
What?
Oh, I'm black, so I was born with the
gotcha.
knowledge of Oblak.
Gotcha. But yeah. So apparently he grew up and all he knew was violence, and so he was taught that violence is fine, and he has the right to kill people if he wants to because violence is fine, right?
Maybe. I really do think that I'm more of a nature type of guy. That nurture nature debate.
Yeah.
I'm sure both play in a part, but I'm pretty sure my belief, I give it like 65-35 nature nurture, because I don't think Hitler was nurtured into Hitler.
You don't
I don't
think
believe
so?
King Von was. No, I don't. You got to be a special kind of evil that way, bro.
I don't know. I mean, people like that have existed, and usually it's from being hurt. Like they're either lonely or they don't feel like they have any power. Hitler was terrified of Jews. Like he was scared of them. That's why he killed so many. I don't know
Was
the.
Pol Pot scared of people with glasses then? Like
I have no
he was
idea.
like Hitler of Asia. That guy was evil too.
I see. Like I don't know. So
Genghis Khan, like
it's
that
possible. Yeah,
guy.
they felt like they had little or no control in their lives, or right in the case of this other guy, King Von, were taught that violence is fine. Can
you say King Von for me again?
King Von.
I don't. You just say it a little funny, dude.
Okay. I mean,
I'm sorry.
that's how
I'm
I
sorry.
say it.
I
That's
shouldn't be
my-
laughing at you about that.
No, you're
That's
fine.
that's
It's just my
bad.
voice.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad you're getting some joy out of it.
Oh, dude, I love talking with you, dude. Every time we
Oh.
talk, I enjoy it so much.
Good. I'm glad.
But yeah,
Okay. Well, you got about
I-
7.5
again-
minutes left.
this is a more personal question because you
Sure.
said you're a former atheist. I know you said you were we talked about religion that one time. You said you were an agnostic atheist or an agnostic something. Are you no
Yeah.
longer that, or you just?
Yeah. So I'm still agnostic. Atheism, I have given up that label. Agnosticism just simply means you're not sure. You know that you can't be sure. You're open-minded to other things. So like, I was an agnostic atheist. I experienced something like about a month ago, by which I came to an enormous. It was basically like a fucking epiphany. And I went into it caused me to go into a manic episode. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true.
I'm so
The
sorry.
last time that I did one of these flash debates, you can go back and look, I was manic as fuck. But I came to understand that. So I've always had this feeling, right, that there's something more. I could never fight that. And as much as I was an atheist, I also thought there's got to be some kind of spiritual soup, you know? I never thought that it jived well, that consciousness comes from nothing. You know, it just kind of springs into place.
Of
No, I
course.
don't think so. I don't think so. So I think that there is a spiritual soup, I guess. I call it the empathy particle, you know, where you have like matter, energy. It could very well even be gravity that does it, you know, like I don't know, because gravity pulls things.
Who knows? Who knows?
Gravity pulls celestial bodies together. Empathy pulls people together.
course.
Maybe they're one and the same. I had that thought recently. I have no idea. I know that sounds like fucking crazy, but science, I think that a core, I've thought about it, and I think that there is a problem in science of like completely ignoring like the emotional part of. How do I explain this? Like, I think that spirituality should be scientifically studied. You know what I mean? Like, we need to break down, like, the people have been trying to figure out what drives consciousness forever. Sorry, I'm babbling, but
Dude,
there's
I
so many
understand
thoughts going through my
completely.
head about this. It's such an interesting topic.
Hey,
But,
it is okay. And
yeah.
a month ago, we were talking about religion, and I offered to send you some of St. Augustine's writings.
Mm-hmm.
I am still up for sending you. I have not forgotten about it, dude. I still have not forgotten
Sure.
about it.
I mean, sure. I'll try to read them. I took a reading suggestion from this guy named Non-Smoker, who I used to beef with pretty harshly. So far, I've listened to 2 chapters of it. It's an audiobook, but it's interesting. It sounds pretty nihilistic, but it's interesting stuff.
I'll tell you, St. Augustine, he was a little nihilistic in the beginning, but his autobiography truly is life changing. I used to think God and religion was fucking stupid. And then I got into college. I had to start doing my own research pro stuff. And man, sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's, you know, like I said, so I came to this epiphany. I think that there is something more out there, and I think the more that's out there is human connection, right? I think that humans as a species need to come together. This is going to sound crazy, but I think that humans need to form a superorganism. Do you know what that is?
You ever seen Evangelion, dude?
I have not.
Dude, you're talking like the fucking villain from Evangelion, dude. Which, hey, that's not even
Listen.
like the dude kind of had a point, you know. I'm just saying, like the collective consciousness thing.
Bro
Hey,
wants
I
a
gotta
hive
go.
mind.
Actually, it wasn't a hive mind. It was just one collective group of people. They all had their own individual thoughts. You should watch it. It's really good. My girlfriend loves it. Which,
Okay.
speaking of that, I have to go pick her up for dinner. So
Okay.
I gotta head out. It was a pleasure speaking with you again, dude.
Always is. I
It
love
was a
talking to
pleasure.
people. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well,
Have a
you
great
have a
night,
wonderful
man.
evening, Large. Thank you. Yes, I saw your question in site chat. I have to log into site chat because my computer just got repaired. Give me just a second, guys. Okay, I see Kotik's hand first, so I'll take Kotik next. Give me just a second. That keeps you guys paying attention, okay? If you want to go next, you got to be paying attention to when this ends because it could end early. Give me just a second, Kotik. I need to go to Bitwarden and log in. I feel like I'm not on top of my game tonight. I have been on top of my game for a long time. I might need a break. two-step verification. Yeah, I don't want to hive mind, guys. I'm not saying that we all gotta like do the same shit, like, or follow orders or anything like that. Ants are a hive mind. Okay, I'm not looking for a hive mind. What I'm looking for is human connection and being able to pull from the best of humanity for each individual thing that we do. That's how we progress as a species. That is the great filter. We must come together as a species in order to progress into the future. We have to. It's that or it's death. That's the epiphany that I had. It's the meaning of life. Okay. Kerbal, yes, you may ask your question. Is it unserious in nature? It is unserious in nature. Yes, you may ask your question. That's fine. I will answer it after I get to Kotik. Remind me if I forget.
Hello. You hear me, right?
Yes, I do, Kotik. How are you doing?
Yes, hello, Gunter. I know that this topic is going to take longer than simply 15 minutes, so if you don't want to debate more on a separate a separate edition, that is fine. But I wanted to talk to you about communism because you are communist, and I, as you can probably guess, am from the former Soviet Union, so I have a lot of personal views about this. Like,
Okay.
like, do you believe in this kind of like, Soviet like kind of communism where everyone is supposedly equal, but then you still have these, you still have the people in these upper classes that they own the factories because it is supposedly communal ownership. Like everything belongs to the people, but do not get caught stealing anything from your job, for example, this kind of stuff. Or the
What
idea of the communal housing that was often just concrete, poorly distributed.
what I believe in is there are a few, bumper sticker phrases I could throw at you. One of them is nobody gets what they want until everyone gets what they need. That's one,
Mm-hmm.
and we can talk about that if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Two, to each according to their needs, from each according to their abilities. Those are the two main ones, really. And I think that whatever system we end up setting up that accomplishes those two things primarily is a good one, at least at that level. What you do after
Mm-hmm.
that, if you expand upon that and you end up having like a dictator who, just owns 90% of all the world's wealth and the rest of the 10% gets spread out among the rest of the populace, obviously I don't like that. I think that there should be democracy, worldwide democracy, and democratically elected leaders in positions
Mm-hmm.
that are, again, it's leadership, right? And it's democratically decided upon, and at any point these leaders can have their power stripped from them. That's the kind of system that I would like to live in.
So, on basis, you are saying you would or you would not agree with the Soviet system because
I'm not sure. I'm sure I would agree with some things and disagree with others.
for example, like what you're saying is like what every single communist state, the Soviet Union, Cuba, North Korea, Algeria, Ethiopia, Somalia, on and on, all would say to their citizens. But a problem that I majorly have is if this is also true, how is it that in the Soviet Union, in Algeria, in Somalia, in Ethiopia, in Cuba, there was all either ethnic cleansing, genocide, or both of sometimes the same nationality, like Somalis killed other Somalis in the genocide through tribal issues, using this kind of like lens of socialism. Like they had supposedly they were rich, they had too much, they needed to be put down, the wealth need to be redistributed.
Well, I
So
personally
like
think killing people is bad.
yes, you
So
personally, but then how are you so sure that if you try this ideology in your country, it won't happen this way? Because you can't control politicians, you can't control like the people who follow them, and you're American. And I've seen a lot of American people in far left be very similar to the kinds of people who caused, genocide, mass killings, starvation, poverty in places like the Soviet Union, Ethiopia, Algeria, on and on.
Well, I think that killing's wrong, right? We've established that.
Mhm.
My wife thinks that killing is wrong. Both of us are communists, okay? And then let's say that we have a neighbor who's got a wife, and they're both communists, and they believe killing's wrong. And let's say that the entire neighborhood thinks this thing, and then let's say that the entire city thinks this thing. And then eventually what you have is a society of people who are communists who thinks killing is wrong. If you elect somebody into power from that position, I fail to see why they would kill anybody.
And well, what if it gave them or their specific group, personal gain? They would absolutely do it. It's happened many times before. In fact, seemingly there is not an example where it hasn't happened. Even when everyone likes to point out to Tito in Yugoslavia, he still to conduct his dream of the multi-ethnic Yugoslavia that very few people truly seemed to want at the time. There were thousands, tens of thousands of people in prison camps where they were tortured and they were executed and their families were tortured, all because they thought that their specific federal republic deserved more autonomy, or they simply stated that they were different from another group, which would have been a fact in Yugoslavia. The Croats, Serbs, Bosnians, Slovenians, Macedonians, these are different nationalities, these are different groups, different histories, different traditions. Even if some of them speak very similar dialects, that does not matter. And this idea always seems to come out that everyone needs to be united until it is not beneficial. Because there's always going to be a group. In Yugoslavia, it was the Serbs. In the Soviet Union, it was the Russians. In Ethiopia, it was Amhara. In Algeria, it was the Algerian Arabs. In Somalia, it was the tribe of the ruling communist party. They all got special treatment over other tribes, and there was killings in other people to a point that even I can say in fascist countries there wasn't necessarily ethnic cleansing always, at least not in such a typical degree. Of course, I'm not defending fascism, but I am saying that there must be something about this form of thought that can easily be perverted into this.
I don't think so. I think that there are corrupt people, of course, and there will always be corrupt people. I understand that. But ultimately, like in theory, right? If we had a society of people in which we teach them that killing is wrong and the rest, it sounds like what you think is that killing is kind of intrinsic to communism. Like you have to kill people in order to enact communism. Do you think that?
To an extent, yes, because, for example, like if you believe, that there is a class of ultra rich people who control politics and they, you cannot get anything done with them, well, what do you do about them? And who do you count in that ultra rich class? Like I'm a businessman, and there are people who are communists who say that I am a
You're about
lich, that
halfway
I
up,
should be
just so you know.
killed.
Sorry, you're about your time's about halfway up.
Yes. And it does seem that yes, the communists do have a sense where like there is a blood level to it. Even in Marx's and Engels' writings, after the revolution of 1848, Marx stopped being liberal, and he stated that because of what the Hungarian revolutionaries did, how they killed their lords, and the Slovaks who helped them do it, and other allied nationalities, that this is an example of, a good revolution, and Engels' support of the Paris Commune, which also was built on blood. It does seem that Marx supported blood, and his states that came from his ideas did too.
Hmm. Okay, so
Of course, yes.
go ahead.
Yes, I said, look, of course, obviously, there's not that much time. Like, if you want, we could be able to discuss this more on a larger scale in the future, obviously. But like,
Okay, yeah, we can definitely do that. If you want to DM me, we can set up a conversation at some point,
Yes, yes,
and we can go for like I usually try to keep them to an hour, but I've gone as long as 2. It just depends on how much
Yes.
I'm enjoying it, how interesting
Yes,
it is.
I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it does seem you would be interested in this, I think, because like obviously you're a communist, you have ideology, and maybe I can get you to research into some of the history of the Soviet Union or of
Sure,
these kinds of countries.
sure, I definitely should. But to get back to my question, you think that communism, a necessary element of that, is killing people. So, if that's the case, then in your like whatever you think a communist in your mind, that's not what I am. Okay, so you can call me something else if you want, but I do not think that it requires like putting this system into place that I'm speaking of, where you have a democratically elected leadership, right? And then you have collective ownership of the means of production, and you have society working together towards the same goal rather than all fighting and bickering amongst each other. Whatever you want to call that, that's what I want. And so if you don't think
So
that's communism, you can call it
you're a
something
social
else.
democrat. You're a
Sure.
social democrat. You believe
Sure.
in normal liberal democracy, capitalism with higher regulation, this kind of stuff.
I do not believe in capitalism, no.
Mhm.
Unless
Okay.
I don't know what your definition of capitalism is, so we could get into that if you want. Like, I don't think I think it's silly to look at somebody who calls themselves a communist and then immediately be like, oh well, this guy wants to kill people. Like he has an ideology which necessitates killing people. I don't see that in the core principles of communist ideology personally. But if that's what you think, then that's not what I am. I'm not a communist in your head.
Yeah. Understood.
Okay. And I don't think that it requires killing in order to have a global society working together toward the future. In fact, I think the opposite.
And how do you get that global society without coercion and violence?
Without coercion, meaning what do you mean? Violent coercion, like threatening?
Coercion, violence, all of this kind of stuff, normal political tools. Because there are going to be people who disagree and don't want to live in a global society.
I mean, fundamentally, I think that all humans have good inside of them. There are obviously like a handful of exceptions of people who just were they got something fucked up and spicy in the brain where they just think that killing is fun, and so that's why they do it. Whatever. There's like a handful of people in history like that. I think that the overwhelming majority of people, like 99.99% of all humanity, thinks that they personally are the good guy. And so if they're killing people, they must think that those people have done something wrong. And if we can get to the root of why they think that person did something wrong, or why those people did something wrong, and then try to like make them understand, and I'm not saying this is easy, okay? But if we can try to make them understand that those people are not a threat to them, then maybe deprogramming can take place. I have to believe that deprogramming and rehabilitation is possible. That's what being a leftist is all about.
Understood. Yeah, yes, I think we would. I think we would be able to have a very good conversation about these topics.
Okay.
Because yes, if you so want,
Sure.
we can set things up.
Sure, we can absolutely set something up. We have about 2 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to add?
What do you think about the genocide, Holodomor, that happened against my people, the Ukrainian people, in Soviet Union.
I mean, I think genocide's bad. So if they genocide, I mean, I don't know much about that part of history. I'm not a very good historian. It's one of my weak spots as a leftist. But you know, if what you're saying is true, and the Soviet Union did in fact commit genocide on Ukraine, I think that that is a bad, rotten part of the Soviet Union's legacy. I think that's bad.
Understood. Okay. I'm glad that you are against this kind of stuff.
Holodomor wasn't only in Ukraine; it was also in Kazakhstan, and it was a famine.
Yes, but
I-
it is like, yeah, but this like, you know, it's kind of like different. It's if
Sure.
you want, we could I could bring it up in a larger conversation.
Of
because
course.
it is different. In
I haven't studied
sense.
it. I want the truth, guys. So all I want is the truth. If it's true that the Soviet Union committed a genocide, I want to know that. Okay, maybe he's right. I don't know. So, you know, but I'm open-minded, and as long as we have good sources, and I have good reason to believe you, then I'll believe you, and that's all there is to it.
Understood.
Yeah. All right. Well, our time's about up. Thank
Yeah.
you very much for coming up.
Thank
I
you for
really
your
appreciate
time.
you.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you for your
absolutely.
time. I hope I was a good reprieve from people talking about Israel and Palestine.
It seems like people
Yeah.
really want to talk about Israel today, but it is what it is. I'll talk
Yes.
about anything.
Yes.
All right. Well, you have yourself a good day, okay?
Yes, it's you too.
All right. Take care. Google Holodomor, please. Okay, I can do that real quick. And then I'm going to move you. All right. Mythic Spider, I'm sorry. You've had your hand up. I told you to take it down. Luna's next. If you want to be next, you will pay attention to what's going on, and you will be the first to put your hand up after. Lisa, I have you coming on at 8. Okay, we're going to have an extended conversation because we set that up. So you can stick around if you want, but I'm bringing you up at 8. Unless you want a shorter one, unless you want to all, well, no, come on. Like, you have an hour tonight. Let's keep it to other people. Okay, so let me look up the Holodomor real quick. I've heard of it, but I'm not very knowledgeable on it. All right, the Holodomor, also known as the Ukrainian famine, was a massive man-made famine in the Soviet Ukraine from 1932 to 1933 that killed millions of Ukrainians. The Holodomor was part of the wider Soviet famine of 1930-1933, which affected the major grain-producing areas of the Soviet Union. While most scholars are in consensus that the main cause of the famine was largely man-made, it remains in dispute whether the Holodomor was intentional, whether it was directed at Ukrainians, and whether it constitutes a genocide, the point of contention being the absence of attested documents explicitly ordering the starvation of any area in the Soviet Union. Some historians conclude that the famine was deliberately engineered by Joseph Stalin to eliminate a Ukrainian independence movement. Others suggest that the famine was primarily the consequence of rapid Soviet industrialization and collectivization of agriculture. A middle position is that the initial causes of the famine were an unintentional byproduct of the process of collectivization, but once it set in, starvation was selectively weaponized, and the famine was instrumentalized and amplified against Ukrainians as a means to punish them for resisting Soviet policies and to suppress their nationalist sentiments. Okay, so it looks like the best we have is that we don't know. We don't know. That's what Wikipedia says. But if it was a man-made genocide, that's bad. If it was a natural disaster, that's also bad, but at least we didn't cause it, right? That's the best I got right now. That's all I can work with. The issue is that they removed all the food from Ukraine to other parts of the USSR while keeping the Ukrainians stuck in the lands. Okay, that's possible too. All right. Let's bring up Luna.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Luna. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing fine. Is there any way that you can make your mic a little bit better?
My mic's not very good. Am I too quiet? Am I too, like...
You're a bit quiet and you're a little bit muffled still.
Oh, yeah, it's not likely my mic. Then I can't really do much about it.
Okay, well,
If that's an issue, I can let someone else come up.
I can understand you well enough. It's fine. Alrighty.
Okay.
Well, let me go ahead and start your timer. What would you like to talk about tonight?
The thing was the communism thing, more about like the for communism it's like, we don't really want like rich people owning like a bunch of like billions and billions of dollars, right? Would you agree that like one man owning like billions of dollars would be bad and it would rather be spent on like the people?
I think that the hoarding of resources is fundamentally anti-human.
Mhm. So how would we make, let's say, like Jeff Bezos, how would we make him like give up his money to like build roads and hospitals? How would we make him do that?
The United States is the most powerful military force in the entire world. We just storm Jeff Bezos' house and detain him, and then take his assets and distribute them as we see fit. We can literally just
Wouldn't that be pretty violent? Like you're raiding his house, like Trotsky style. You're like pushing a bunch of people to raid his house, like break his shit, go in there, find him. And if he escapes, if he tries to like run, let's say like people could be killed, Jeff Bezos could have hired like guards, to defend him because he's a billionaire. He has the money and power and influence to fight back against us. Do you
Okay.
believe that
Mhm.
oh sorry, were you gonna say something?
I was, but it's fine. You can finish.
How I see it is like I do think billionaires, a lot of them, they're greedy. We all know that. And I don't think like that can really be solved by peaceful means, like billionaires like hoarding their wealth. Like you're talking about storming like their house, yes.
Yeah.
Or like their residence. That seems pretty violent to me.
Well,
And,
I want to
you're
detain
forcefully
him.
detaining him.
Well,
Yeah,
and
you're
it is violent,
forced-
sure, but it's in self-defense because right now, if we had a just system, Jeff Bezos would be tried for crimes against humanity.
What kinds of humanity?
He should be arrested. He hoarding resources.
Hoarding resources is a crime.
I think it should be, yes.
So let's say I have like let's say I have 2 coconuts on an island.
Okay.
Okay. And then there's 2 people on let's say 3 coconuts, and then there's like 3 people on the island. There's me with all 3 of the coconuts, and then there's Jimmy and Tommy, okay. And then I have all the coconuts. I don't want to give them the coconuts because I really, 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 really like the coconuts. What would happen? What would Jimmy and Tommy have to do? There's no other food on the island.
Restrain you and take the coconuts and leave one for you.
What if they can't restrain me? What if I'm like far away? What if they're like let's say they can't restrain me. They have to kill me. And let's say I don't want to talk to them, like I don't want to try and negotiate. I'm like, no, these are my coconuts. I don't want to negotiate with anything. And I've had the food, I would be physically stronger than them. Because let's say they just woke up, like they're kind of doozy. They haven't had food, they're like kind of weak. But they
Okay.
have to team up against me if I don't give them, or let's say I hide the coconuts in like a super secret made of bedrock vault, and then only I have the combination. What would they have to do? Would they like hold me hostage and then we all starve, or would they like beat me to death until I give them the code?
It would just
What would
depend.
they do?
It would just depend. Because there's only 3 of you. Basically, you're talking about a world in which only 3 people exist. There's you, your friend, and the guy who's hoarding the you're hoarding the coconuts, and then there's your 2 friends or enemies or whatever you want to call them who need food, and you have all of it, right? So self-preservation in that case is a valid means, is a valid value to have. And if they need to kill you in order to take those coconuts and preserve themselves, that is a valid thing to do. Your life is not more important than theirs. It's an impossible decision because if they are your friends and they don't want to do that, then they'll have to decide, okay, I can either starve to death, kill myself, or kill her. Then like that's a really, really difficult decision, But at the end of the day, if you're being an idiot and hoarding the coconuts and they need food or they're gonna die, what other choice are you giving them?
So it would be valid in this context to do to me like hoarding the food.
To what?
That would be violent in this context according to like me hoarding the food, and they would have to like
Yes.
fight me to get that.
Yes, you are committing violence. Yes.
And a lot of the billionaires don't want to give up their money. They would rather go down to the fight and like pay guards and shit to defend them, like I was saying.
They're in the
And
process of sorry, go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead.
I cut you
I've
off.
been
I cut you
talking too
off.
much.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, the billionaire in question, like he hired guards, like he's defending his wealth. It's in a vault, super secret wealth, and like you have to storm his house, and like a bunch of people die because you know the guards are armed, the people are armed. The guards may be professional, but they get outnumbered. They take some people down. That seems pretty violent. That seems pretty crazy to me. And like the dude's still gonna hoard his money. Like it's bad that he's hoarding the money, but I don't think like making give up like their stuff to like donate it or like give it out to other people. I don't think like it could entirely be peaceful. I do think there's going to be a lot of conflict between like the rich people and the like the general people in the population. And I've seen it in a lot of like communist countries, like the elites. Like you can look at in the Russian Empire, the Tsar was killed, and then the Bolshevik revolutions happened, and a bunch of other like ministers and like oligarchs. They were all either like captured, robbed, beaten, like all this stuff. It's very bad, very violent.
Okay.
That's all I really have to say.
Okay.
It's just like I think like I agree with like billionaires shouldn't have this like trillions, billions of dollars and stuff. But I don't think it could be like 100% like sunshine and rainbows where it's all peaceful. Like, yeah, I'll give up the money. Like, here you go. You can take it. They're gonna like fight tooth and nail because they believe this is my right. I worked in quotation marks for this money. I'm not gonna give it out to some dude who hasn't worked, who hasn't done anything, and it's my money. It's what I choose to do with it. And then he just gets stormed and he gets killed.
Okay. So why shouldn't they have billions upon billions of dollars? Why do you think?
Why shouldn't they? I've Yeah, I believe it's hoarding, right? You know, you're greedy. You're taking all this money for yourself. Like, let's say you build all these businesses, and a lot of the businesses that are like have really wealthy business billionaires have done horrible things to like the planet or to other people. Like you see, what's it called? The chocolate company. Nestle does like child labor in Africa. Like they exploit Africans for the cacao. I think that's what it's called for the chocolate. And then you have a bunch of other corporations that would like use their money and influence to either lobby for like the government, like let's say like they have all their money, they're just like, hey, we don't want to like be forced to like be taxed, like we want to keep our money, we don't want to hoard it. We like rolling in our money, we don't want to give it up. We're gonna use like their power to influence policies, so then they can what's the point? They can just like keep the power to themselves, and like money is power to them. They don't want to lose their power.
Okay. Your time's about halfway up, just so you know.
Mhm.
Okay, so they shouldn't have all those billions of dollars because they can influence policy in their benefit to the detriment of others, right?
100%.
Okay, so this is kind of getting to my point here. When they're hoarding that many resources to the detriment of others, they are quite literally killing people. Okay, this is the whole thing with Luigi Mangione, right? Nobody gives a shit about Luigi Mangione killing that guy because,
Yeah.
frankly, that guy was already killing people en masse. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying
I
it was
think so.
correct to do that, but
Of course not.
nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody even remembers the guy's name. We only remember Luigi. Okay, there's no vigil
Luigi,
for the
right.
fucking CEO of the healthcare the health insurance company. Right?
Yeah, it was only like Luigi. You see, like, oh, it's Luigi saved the day. He's a hero. Like, he's taken down the big billion.
So my point is, right? If we can recognize that these CEOs and, corporate owners are committing violence against people, which they are factually, okay, we should make efforts to subdue them and try them in a court of law. I'm not saying that it would be peaceful. I'm not saying that it would go
Yeah.
down without any violence whatsoever. What I am saying is that efforts should be made because they are already committing violence. They're doing it en masse
Yeah.
with no repercussions whatsoever, practically.
Mhm.
So yes, I'm
I
fine
think I
saying
might
that.
have. I think I might have misunderstood your claims, so I apologize. I didn't exactly understand you correctly, but now that you've explained it to me, it makes a lot more sense. And that's all I really have to say.
Okay.
Because my original thing was like, I thought you were saying like, we could divide the wealth, it would all be like sunshine and rainbows, it would be peaceful. That was
Okay.
how I interpreted it.
Well, on an individual level, right? We still have 4 minutes, so on an individual level, when I'm talking to somebody, and I do what's called tough love, right? This is when I poke at an insecurity of somebody. So for me, if you were to
Yes.
do tough love on me, an insecurity of mine used to be that I had to feel like I was intelligent, right? And if I felt like I was wrong ever, like if I made a Twitter post, like I would get this sinking feeling in my gut where I was like, oh my God, I have to delete that. I was wrong. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. People are looking at me
Yeah.
and they know that I'm like, and so if you were to do that against me, you would be causing me pain, right? But
Mhm.
let's say that I'm some idiot fucking transphobe, you know? I am actively hurting people with my words, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, if you want to take me down a peg and you know that I have an insecurity about looking intelligent, you might say, wow, you must feel like a really smart guy, Alec. You must feel like you got all the answers when you're ignoring these copious amounts of studies and the psychiatric what is it? American Psychiatric Association, among a plethora of others, that all agree that trans care is valid and necessary, you know? That's really
Yes.
smart of you, man. You must be so much smarter than all those doctors, all those, and through this, you start to make me feel like you start to crumble me a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So in a way, I'm not saying that's violence per se, but you are hurting me. You are poking at an insecurity because I'm causing more harm. Make sense? So I think that
Yeah.
doing harm to other people when it is going to mitigate the harm that they're doing to the world outside of themselves is fine. As long as it's measured.
Mhm.
It should be the minimum amount
Yeah.
necessary. And I know that's hard to measure, but
At minimum,
you know,
yes.
yeah. There was a guy on the
Because
server
if you
for a while. Go ahead, you go.
Oh, how I see that is like the minimum is best. Like, of course, we don't want to like go out and like these people saying like I don't like trans people. We don't want to go out and like beat them up and kill them. Like, we don't want to
Exactly.
go that crazy. Because
Exactly.
I can't remember who said it, but they said an eye for an eye would make the whole world one. I think it was Gandhi. I can't remember.
I believe that was
Someone
Gandhi.
like yeah, and like we can still like give them tit for tat, but we can't go like crazy just clawing at each other until there's nothing left on each other. Like we're just gone, basically.
Yeah. There was a guy on this server named Fire Owl, and he's since been banned. But while I don't know if you know Fire Owl, but
Oh, I did.
yeah. So while he was here, and I feel like I can talk about this now, but while he was here, I went too hard on him. Like I literally I pulled that example from I immediately saw that insecurity in him. It was like a blaring red light where it's like, "Oh, this guy feels the need to be smart." And if I point out the fact that he is an idiot, he is going to lose his shit, right? And he did. He hated being called stupid. Oh, how he hated it. And I actually went a little bit too hard. And it was so bad, in fact, that first of all, I ended up kicking him from the call because I was like, okay, I can't deal with this right now. I'm running on an hour of sleep in the last 3 days or so. Like, I can't do this. Second of all, the guy does not talk to me. Like, I've tried to reach out to him on like 3 separate occasions, and he does not want to talk to me one bit. Like, he is keeping his space. He's
He's
keeping
done
his
with you?
distance. He is done. Like, he does not like me, you know?
Yeah.
So I went a little bit too hard. So I'm trying to be more measured about it these days. But I still think that it is a necessary tool in my arsenal to, you know, inject that little bit of pain into people so that they understand. It's a very direct injection of pain, you know, like it's not very much, but if it's directed at insecurity, it feels like a lot. It's like the Cruciatus Curse from from Harry Potter, you know.
It's like a little pinch. It's not like you're cutting his arm off.
Exactly. It's just, yeah, we're pinching a sore spot.
Yeah.
So anyway, your time's about up, but hopefully that explains my current mentality. I'm not like the ultimate pacifist or anything. I mean, I am, but at the same time, I understand the need for retributive, I guess, for lack of better terms, return fire, right?
Yeah. Sometimes someone just needs like a little knuckle sandwich in the head. You know.
Yeah. You know, to the minimum amount that you're capable of doing so. Okay.
That's about all I had to say. Thank you so much for the respectful debate.
Absolutely.
I
You have
more
your...
people. I hope more people follow in your footsteps and being a respectful debater. Have a good day.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you. All right, hands up. Who's next? First one, first come, first serve. We got Mythic Spider up. Hello, hello.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you doing, Mythic Spider?
Pretty good, actually.
Good.
First thing I'd like to get at is we've talked a while back, and I would just like to say, touching briefly a little bit on what you said earlier with the having to look intelligent thing, it is and I don't mean this with any insult. English is
Sure.
not my favorite language, so I apologize if there's any that comes out here. It is really nice to see you and other people engaging in civil conversation, because the few times I've been around, especially when you first joined, it was well, you know.
Yeah.
So
That was
it's just,
different.
it's really nice to see this, and I'm really happy to hear. I am, on a personal level, very curious about your communist thoughts, because I kind of akin to myself. You seem to be a bit of an odd man out when it comes to communism, because you probably don't remember, but we had a long text thread in one of the daily debates. I'm a monarchist, but not exactly a normal one. You appear to be a communist, but not exactly a normal one, because you use the term communist, but as far as I can tell, you seem far more akin to a... I know that technically it's one and the same, but Marx can go fuck himself. A socialist. Do you use the term communist more just because of the book relation of the two, or why communist? Because you don't seem to align in the slightest with any of the actual self-calling communist ideologies. Marxist-Leninism, Stalinism, so on and so forth, Maoism. You don't seem to agree with some of the fundamental basics of those.
Sure.
A lot of which has also contributed with the disdain for violence, which is completely fair, obviously. But what, in a nutshell, I suppose I'm asking what you are and how that came to be, because I don't recall you. Yeah.
Well, that's a long story, but I can try. So, as far as communism, I'll keep this as brief as I can. Basically, I have the Wikipedia article pulled up. Communism is a political and economic ideology whose goal is the creation of a communist society, a socio-economic order centered on common ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange that allocates products in society based on need. A communist society entails the absence of private property and social classes, and ultimately money and the state. Communism is a part of the broader socialist movement. So, what we have here, socialism, right, doesn't necessitate the... Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing.
Okay. Yeah, socialism does not necessitate the dismantling of hierarchies, of unjust hierarchies, right? It necessitates the dismantling of a specific one, which is the destruction of the workplace, right? Like, or the destruction of the workplace hierarchy, basically. But communism is an expansion of that. It's not just workplace democracy. It's societal democracy. It is dismantling any kind of unjust hierarchy anywhere, ever, at all. It's, like it says here, the ultimate goal is to get rid of money as a unit of exchange. It becomes it basically just becomes, the earth becomes a house. It's not like you live with your family and you go around, like, sometimes you'll exchange money, but like in a house, if you need something, you just go get it, like, that's my point. So I would like the earth to be like a large house, if you will, where everybody living in it is just one big happy family. And I know that sounds very out there, but that's how I view it, and that's why I call myself a communist. I also call myself a humanist for that reason. I think that humanity is capable, not only capable of doing that, but must do that in order to keep themselves from going extinct. I think that is a necessity. It's the great filter. So that's why I consider myself a communist.
Okay. So I suppose here comes the clash.
Sure.
Your humanist views. I heard a little bit previously, but I was cooking tuna casserole for my wife, so feel free to correct at any time. But you hold the belief that you could be a. I didn't hear any description of means, but that you could effectively convince. I think the example you used was first yourself, then your house, then your neighborhood, then the city, then the state, or whatever the hell, to all share that belief, and that would allow the peaceful existence of that belief. Is that right?
Well, yeah, if the broader society thinks a thing, then that thing is going to become part of the culture, and once it becomes part of the culture, it becomes part of, like, it's enforced. It's enforced by the society.
Okay, but then I suppose my question is, do you believe that that could ever actually be achieved?
1000%.
All right,
I think
there
it
we go.
has
So
to.
I have just to get this out of the way, I was not national military, so I suppose this is either going to go very add to the conversation or get me yelled at. But I have I've been and deployed to Mali and to Afghanistan, and in both of those places, I ran into a lot of what you could certainly call extremism.
Okay.
But I also saw, most of all, there were plenty of groups that all understood that by their continuous opposition to each other, they were guaranteeing they were all going to fucking stay in the mud. Yet, even while directly acknowledging that, they all believed that to be better than compromise. And let's be real here, those are in actually, like, motherfucker, I've been there, those are in actually low resource environments where people by the thousands, well, the time, not really right now specifically, sort of in Mali, I guess, were dying from armed conflict, where shit is, so to speak, real, and people have a lot more incentive to actually cooperate or face rather literal death. And yet, even then, no, they chose, especially in the case of Mali, fully aware that they were all losing. Like, no one was winning the big picture by going that route. They all chose violence. Why in the hell would, say, in a developed country, and let's use my I view myself as Austrian and Hungarian, so let's just use both. What would convince Austrians or Hungarians to ever all just drop everything and agree when in a place where you will most certainly die long term, either demographically or otherwise, if you don't, no such thing is likely to happen within any sane amount of time in those places? How does that thought process work? How do you believe that when in places of actual complete total war and strife, Sudan for fuck's sake, there's nowhere near any kind of thought process even approaching actually doing that? What makes you think you could have that achieved in a place where there's nowhere near the incentive to do so?
It's happened before. It takes a lot.
No, I was making it sound too good. Keep going.
Okay. It takes a long time and a lot of progress, and it probably won't happen within my life. I mean, it definitely will not happen within my lifetime. Let's be real. I will
Probably
never
not,
get.
yeah.
I will never live to see this world. It is one that I simply wish to push the Earth a little further toward, push the species a little further toward, and that's fine. But in the meantime, like. To go like let's go back to the Revolutionary War between America and Great Britain, right? That happened.
All right.
Great Britain and America were deeply at odds with each other. They had such conflicting ideologies that they went to war. They started killing each other over it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that happened, and then over time, they resolved it, right? They resolved it. Eventually, the fighting stopped, and Britain was like, "Okay, this is no longer worth it. We surrender," right?
If I may.
Sure.
I don't, because I understand where you're going, but I do want to remark, you said this yourself a second ago. I don't think you're taking all of the history into account, because that particular era, I'm a little bit more well-versed in than others, and ideology was only a major factor. It was obviously still very much a factor, but in terms of determining how the two powers acted towards each other, ideological shenanigans dropped off hard past 1812 because both countries stopped giving a shit. The British didn't see much value left in the New World, and the US, whether or not you're an American in here and you think you guys won, even if you did, it was not exactly at a very effective cost. And there was no real, what's the word for it? It's the same kind of thing that happened between the Germans and the French. There was
about
no
5 minutes, by the way.
moment. All right, thank you.
5 minutes. Yep.
There was no real moment of like both sides like sitting down and saying, "Okay, yeah, we're cool," and like hashing out that kind of thing. There was just a succession of killing, and as we can see now, especially in the case of that's actively reversing, at least in my opinion. You're seeing once again the renewal of an Anglo split between the U.S. and the rest of not the rest of, but the Commonwealth once again, via you know the Orange Man and whatnot. That's a very, I mean no insult, that doesn't really work as an example of cooperation because both sides lost, but never, like, there was no compromise, there was no like joint agreement. They might have been allies later on, but they continued to compete and brutalize each other constantly in economic warfare well until post the Victorian era. Britain lost. The US killed the United Kingdom. There was no compromise. They dismantled their empire despite being officially allied by force during the Cold War, allied briefly with the Soviets in the 50s against the British in an attempt to maintain their empire. The US was fundamentally, ideologically, I suppose, yes, still opposed for a long while after, but once again, it became economic and it never really stopped. There was no cooperation. I think I lost myself a little there with I hope you understand what I'm saying, though. There was no peace. The British just lost brutally.
But we have peace now.
For now.
I don't.
The British, via the British being essentially a direct vassal state to the point it's probably never going to get let in the EU again because of the degree of influence the US has directly in it. It's the closest thing I can think of to being like you ever heard the special relationship thing, like line from the British?
I have not.
It's what they describe the American-British relation as. The special relationship is why they joined both the war in Afghanistan and Britain. It's why they've always been joining U.S. conflicts and otherwise related things a lot more than anyone else, even in NATO and otherwise. The British are ordered to go where the Americans want them to because, well, some intelligence leaks back in the day showed that the British were just at America's heel, but more so, once again, it's a vassal overlord relationship that even the Canadians don't really have with the British. Like the British, there's no cooperation. That's what I'm saying. It's the British subjugated, not particularly brutally, but nonetheless by the current now hegemon of the Anglosphere, which is the U.S. Sure as shit, not them.
Are we subjugating the British now?
Once again, not brutally, but yeah. The U.S. is continuing to take action that heavily benefits themselves economically while heavily detrimenting the British. They pushed for the British to conduct Brexit to better U.S. markets at the direct expense of British ones. They pushed to continue trying to convince the British government to rely on American trade, which is literally about 10 times less profitable than European trade, almost exactly just due to travel time and other things, on the promise that continuous American development would come more investment, so on and so forth. And then
Got about 1 minute.
as soon as better markets arrived, as soon as better markets arrived, dropping the British for those markets, a la Asia and some of the Middle East, I think.
I think at the end of the day, my point is the United States and Britain, regardless of whether you think the United States is actively harming Britain right now, they have an agreement. They've reached a peace, right?
I suppose, but certainly
Yeah.
not to the ideological agreement that we're purporting it to. Or is that the right word? Fuck. I'm hoping that's the right word.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, purporting it. Yeah. So between the there was a point in time where the United States and Great Britain were so at odds with each other that they were literally killing each other. And now we have reached a point, hundreds of years later, mind you, okay, I understand that, where they're not. And not only are they not, they seem to have a pretty buddy partnership, you know. And you can say whatever you want about like how America's actually hurting the British or whatever. I'm not sure. I'm not well versed in that area, but at the end of the day, they both have terms of agreement and they are at peace with one another. So that demonstrates to me that it's possible. You know, it is possible for two conflicting groups, even when they're killing each other, to eventually, whether it takes centuries or whatever, reach peace. And that's all I'm looking for in this world. So your time's about up. You can have the last word real quick, and then I'm going to go to the next caller.
Yeah, thank you. But to that, I just raised a simple thing of
Sure.
the Chinese and Russians were each other's main geopolitical enemy less than 140 years ago. It only takes a decade for that centuries of peace making to die. All right, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a wonderful evening. Thanks for coming on, Mythic. All right, first come, first serve. Who's next? We got Pogo LaShawn. Pogo LaShawn, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull you up. I'm going to mute you just so everyone knows that you're next. And then I'm going to take a brief break, okay?
All right.
Give me just a second. I'm going to keep you muted. All right. Hang out for just a second, guys. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. Refresh my gamer juice. Coke Zero. And I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Okay. Pogo, are you still there? Here, let's unmute him. That might help.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Right. Give me just a second here. I can hear you.
Okay. You just call me
Okay.
LaShawn. You don't have to call me Poco, brother.
LaShawn, sorry. I guess I should have gone with the other name.
Yeah. No, this is just for my Pokemon Go Discord. That's why it's Poco.
Oh, gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Well, LaShawn, we've talked once before. How are you doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm okay. I'm doing pretty well.
Cool. All right. Well, what would you like to talk about this evening, LaShawn?
The government shutdown, man.
Okay. What about it?
I want to know more. I want to know your opinion.
My opinion. I think it's bad. I think that people need to be paid. I think that the government needs to function properly. I also think that it's necessary given what the conservatives are doing. Like, there's no other choice really. There's no other lever of power that the liberals have to work with. So I'm glad that they're using it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we do live in a democracy, so you can do things like this.
Yeah. So, it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
it just is a result of having incompetent leadership.
Yeah. At what cost, though? Really, it comes at the cost of we the people. Honestly, it doesn't matter
Sure
if you're
does.
alt right, far left. It hurts everyone right now.
Sure does. I don't like that, but, Trump is hurting a lot of people right now, and the Democrats decided we're not going to give him blanket permission to do that anymore.
Yeah, they could always impeach if Trump is this monster that everyone makes him out to be. He can be impeached.
Well, I'm not
We have that
entirely
power.
sure. Mm-hmm. What'd you say?
I was just saying we have the power as we the people, in the Constitution to impeach somebody. If somebody's a bad president or doing ill will stuff towards the country, we could definitely change that.
It is certainly on paper, right?
He's been impeached before.
He has. You're right. On paper, we do have the power as the people. I think that it would be good to impeach him at this point. I'm not entirely sure what the process for that looks like. Whatever it is, it's probably too complicated. But at the end of the day, Trump has unfettered access to power, and yet the government is shut down. We have to reconcile that. If people who like Trump, people who are who like the conservatives and what they're doing right now, have to reconcile the fact that they have all the levers of power, and this is what's happening.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a conservative. I don't fall under right wing. I'm not a Republican per se.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from the outside looking in for sure. I think people need to be more sympathetic and look at other people's point of view and have discussions and see what's going on with people in their country. I think it's your duty as an American.
Yeah, I agree. I that's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing, I'm trying to have as many discussions with as many people as I possibly can, just see where everybody's coming from and see if we can start building bridges rather than burning them constantly.
Yeah. So what was your guys' main? I know I wanted to say something about like the Great Britain thing. What was your take on that?
My take on what specifically about that?
How to make society better? Or, I can't
Yeah,
remember the complete
yeah.
premise of what you guys were talking about, but
So it was simply a demonstration that eventually, given enough time and the right conditions, any two competing factions, no matter how bad the competition is, can come together and break bread. That's the point I
Yeah.
was driving at.
yeah, we can look for evidence like that in America. You know, the North and the South. This country was divided so much, and now we're a republic.
Yep, exactly. We're still a united 50 states, despite the fact
Yeah.
that, you know, not that long ago in the grand scheme, we were a country torn, you know?
War torn.
Yes. So my only point was that it's possible, and people think it's not, but there is evidence that it is.
Yeah, eventually things will become better. I have faith in humanity, people that eventually we will get our stuff together and figure this out. Oh,
Yeah, and
I hope.
you know, and the nice thing is with the internet, the rise of the internet, it is able to happen faster than ever. You know, I keep saying this will never happen in my lifetime. This will never happen in my lifetime. And I only say that really because I don't want to get my hopes up. I think it could. I think that it is possible. But, you know, the reason I don't get my hopes up is because that's not what I'm fighting for. I am simply fighting for it to happen as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for
hopefully
sure.
that's within my
It
lifetime.
very well could.
Yeah.
It could happen in our lifetime if people wake up and see the greater scheme of things and realize we're all people in this thing we call life. It very well could happen, and I hope it happens.
I do too. I do too, brother. So that was my only point that I was trying to bring up. But is there anything else you wanted to discuss?
I know you wanted to ask me some other questions. Our last debate. I don't know if you have them off the top of your head or not.
I don't. What was
I
our
was-
last debate about?
Conservative values. You know, we
Sure.
touched on trans people and stuff like that.
Sure. So yeah, we kind of came to an agreement on, like, you know, you at least respect trans people's like identities, and that's fine. We don't have to get into the nitty gritty of that. Why do you call yourself a conservative? I'm curious. What's conservative
I
about
just hold
you?
a lot of conservative values. You know,
Sure. Can you give me one? Like, what's your biggest one?
just like a lot of them. You know, it's not. I can't pick and choose. It's a lot of them. I fall. My morality as a Christian coincides with that a lot. You know, like abortion and stuff. That's a conservative thing that I fall under.
Okay. So you're against
The
abortion.
covenant with man and women should be man and women.
Okay, so you're against abortion and you're against gay marriage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there one or the other that you'd like to touch on?
We could talk about abortion if you'd like.
Sure. Why are you against abortion?
Because the Bible, it says God knows you before you was formed, before you was in utero. I knew you. As people, I don't think we have the rights to decline life on any human scale. I don't think it is right, morally correct to unalive babies just because you know, we see it current day people being promiscuous and stuff like that and not living like they should live. They're having all these ABs, abortions. They're sleeping around. Their answer is the final say is I'm sleeping around, so I'm gonna unalive this baby, or I'm gonna take this plan B. I don't think we should live like that as people.
Right. So, abortion procedures, like, they're not pleasant, right? Like, people don't get them for fun, right?
No, it's a surgery. In most cases, abortion is a surgery. It's invasive, for sure.
There are surgeries that take place. I don't know if it's accurate to say that most of them are surgeries, but we can just say, for the purposes of this conversation, that's what we're referring to as surgical abortion procedures, right? When we say abortion.
Okay.
So, surgical abortion procedures. So my ex had one, right? And I helped her pay for it. So the reason that I felt okay doing that, well, actually, I kind of didn't. At the time, I kind of didn't, because at the time, in my head, I actually was still pro-life. You know, like I had to
and
really.
Alec,
Mhm.
men should definitely have a say. If that's your child and your woman at the time, it's not fair to men to get someone pregnant and they be known like, oh, hey, I'm pregnant, but I'm going to get an abortion. Why don't men have a say in that at all? Why is it just one sided? It
Sure.
takes two people to create life. Why is it the final say lies with the woman? That's where I'm broke at too.
Okay.
That line.
Mhm. What do you say to people who say it's her body, the baby is attached to her body?
But what if that baby is a girl? That's her body too. It's a double-edged sword, really.
Wait, what if the baby's a girl?
What if
do you mean?
what if the baby is a girl?
What
That's her
if
body,
it is?
right? Yeah, that's her body, right? Why does she get a
Okay,
say?
but like if you want, okay, so if you want to get into the nitty gritty of this, it can also be his body if it's a trans man. You know, like we agree that we properly gender like trans people, even if we don't buy into the ideology, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
Sometimes it can be
yeah.
his body. So I don't want to I don't want to get into semantics of or like id pull. I'm not id pulling you. What I'm trying to say is, it is the
No, I believe
choice.
there's only two genders, and
That's fine.
there will only be two genders. Well,
That's
I
fine.
mean, and
Yeah.
intersex. Intersex is a thing, I don't want to say that those kind of people don't exist. There is intersex people. I will acknowledge that.
Sure. My only point is, the person who is carrying the baby gets the final say because that baby is attached to that person. Does that make sense?
It
If it were the man,
how
I'd
you
say it's
said
the
it
man's
makes
choice.
sense, but logically it doesn't make sense. Do you see where
Okay.
I'm coming from? Like, it takes two people to bring life into this world. Why does it take one person's final say? Like, hey, no, it doesn't make sense to me. Because what if you wanted, like in your case, you was pro life at the time, and
Mhm.
you really wanted this baby. You really wanted this baby. Why don't you get the opportunity to be a father?
Well, I don't think I said I wanted the baby. You kind of
I'm just saying,
inserted
let's say
that.
that you wanted the baby.
Okay,
That's what
let's
I
say that
said.
I did. Sure.
Yeah, you wanted to
Sure.
be a father. You could provide this kid with a beautiful life, with everything they needed. Why do you not get a opinion or an option in that case?
Well, again, right? It's the baby's not attached to him. So I just find the idea of him getting to override the decision of the person whom it is attached to a little bit unsettling. Like I don't like that. It feels like he's just controlling her body at that point.
I get what you're saying 100%, but it takes two. It's not like a woman
Sure.
can have well, they can have a baby outside of a man, but typically it takes a man and a woman to make a baby, equal parts of both people, right?
Sure. So basically what you're arguing is, because the man helped to create this new life, he should have a say over what happens to it, correct?
Yeah, you should. Yeah, men should be able to have a say.
Okay.
100%. Yeah,
I
that's what I'm preaching.
I know this probably felt short, but we only have about 2 minutes left. So if you want to have a longer conversation about this, we can. We can keep going down this path, or if you have any final thoughts, you can go ahead and give those. It's up to you.
We can take a little bit longer. We can
Sure.
do whatever you want to do. If you
Sure.
got people that want to come up, I'll drop. It's okay.
Well, these are 15-minute conversations I'm having. I mean, well, let me ask this. I know that I have to get off in 15 minutes for sure because I have Lisa coming up. But anybody else? Like, is there anybody else who wants to come in? Because I think I have time for one more. And while people are answering that, we can keep going. So, I raise your hand if you want to come in. Raise your hand. So I can't get over this idea, right? That again, the man is controlling the woman's body by forcing her to carry this pregnancy, because that's essentially what's happening, right? Like, he's forcing her.
It's equal. It takes two. I don't think you're comprehending that it takes
Okay.
two people to bring a life into this world.
Right.
Like
Sure.
That
So
that baby in utero has 50% of you, has 50% of whatever you offer to the plate genetically. So you have stuff in the game like you biologically there is your DNA. It's half and half, right?
sure, and that's what you put value in, is the fact that that genetic material is yours.
Yeah, that should be important. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. How do I want to? Where do I want to take this? We can keep going because I don't think.
I know how this comes off. I know this it doesn't come off correctly. I can understand that. I understand the consequences of thinking like this. I genuinely do.
Okay.
But I think it would be fair to men to be able to have a say.
Do you think it's
It
fair
should.
to go ahead?
Is it fair? Is it fair to a man to have all this head in the game? Oh yeah, I'm gonna be a father. I want to be a father. I want to provide for this child. And then for a woman to just be like, no, you don't. I have controlled it. This is my body. No, you don't get to be a father because I say you don't, because I don't want to birth a child.
Right. So basically, it's like, oh, if the man could take on the child, then he would. Like, he would take that
Yeah,
burden
that's
off of her in order to have the baby, but he can't. He literally can't, right? And
yeah,
so
we know
because of
that.
that, right? Because of that, unless he's a seahorse, of course, but because of that, like, he now has to suffer through this mental anguish of she's killing my child, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. Why do you value that over the mental anguish that or let me ask you this. Do you think it's fair to say that you value that over the mental anguish of the woman being forced to carry this baby for 9 months?
I didn't say that. I think
Okay.
That's
why I backtracked and
parent
said,
is
do you
the
think it's fair to say that?
being a
And you don't.
parent is the most valuable thing that you can do for this planet.
Okay.
That if you're not religious, if you believe in evolution, that's the only reason why we're here, is to pass genetic code down the line. Realistically, that's the only reason why we're here. If you're not religious,
Sure.
or is to pass genetic code down the line. That's the only reason why we're here.
To what end do we do this? To what end do we engage in this ritual
What do you mean?
of reproduction? Like, to what end? Like, what's the point?
To keep the human race going. That's why we reproduce. That's why anything reproduces in nature.
But why?
To
Why not
to
just...
keep their
Yeah.
because that's the law of nature.
So we're
Right?
just all slaves to our nature then.
Yeah, we are. We all have. Yeah, we are. Look at us. Look at human nature and history. All the warfare. That's human nature.
I don't think
Mankind
it is.
it is. Since the very beginning of times, we've been killing each other. We fall short of it 100% of the time. Globally, historically, if you look at it, I mean, we're a slave to human nature. We really are.
I don't think we have to be. I mean, you and I aren't, right?
Yeah.
We disagree, and we're not at each other's throats.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for everyone to have a say, especially if you have any head in the game. Like I hate to even say it like that, but if you're involved with making a child, you should ultimately have a say. It
Sure.
is not fair for a man to get a woman pregnant and not have a say, and it's also not fair for vice versa. It's not fair if a woman wants to have a baby, doesn't want to have a baby, and a man wants to.
I hear
It's
you.
a double-edged sword. The factors that you pull in can be turned right against you.
Yeah, I hear you. I need to get back to this human nature thing, because this is where the crux of our disagreement lies. You think that it is simply human nature, biological drive to just continuously pop out more babies ad
To
infinitum.
reproduce, yeah.
Ad infinitum.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here.
That's what we do.
That is just the thing that we do, right?
Yeah, that 100%.
Okay, so, but you also think it's just a thing that we do to go to war with each other, right?
Human nature, yeah. If people don't agree with stuff, yeah, they're gonna hurt each other. Yeah, that's in human nature.
Well, you and I, but once again, you and I haven't hurt each other. Do you feel the need to hurt me right
There,
now?
no, I don't
Okay.
think you're comprehend. Like I'm just saying, historically, we can back everything that I'm claiming as the truth. But also, I mean, you don't have the same. You see, this is where human nature is shifting. But there will
Okay.
always be the drive to reproduce. That will never go away.
Will there?
What was it?
Will there?
No, yeah, because if people stop having other people, the human race dies. Who wants to see the human race die?
Some people might.
Look at animals. They keep going. Do we know why? No, because it's in their nature. They reproduce by nature.
Well, I mean, we've already established that human nature can change over time, right?
Yeah, it can change.
Yeah. So then
But
there's no
having
reason.
having children, prolonging your species and creating will never change. No, I cannot say that will ever change. People will
So
always want to have children till the end of time.
sure. So there's two types of human nature then. There's the type of human nature that can change over time, and there's the type of human nature that cannot change over time. It's just permanent, right?
Yeah, for sure. Would you
Okay.
not agree?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I agree with this yet, but you can convince me. So let's talk about it. So why do you think it was just human nature to kill each other?
We're very I don't know how to really say this, but we're just very barbaric creatures. It's in our nature. We're barbaric as fuck.
Well, you're not.
As
I
a
don't think you
collective,
are.
as a collective, humans are barbaric as fuck. Look at anything. Look what's happening in Africa right now. Look, you can
Sure.
just look on any corner of the planet and see barbaric actions.
Sure. I think that's fair. I don't.
I'm
So,
not
but
justifying it.
I know. I know. Don't worry. I'm not taking anything you're saying negatively. I think that you're right. I think that as a collective, we are barbaric. That part's true. So when you say human nature, what you mean is what the current zeitgeist is as a species, right?
Yeah, and the past of our species.
And the past. So we take that into
Yeah.
consideration as well. Got it. So the human nature that can change is our drive for war, our drive for violence. And you say it is
That
changing slowly.
yeah. I think evidence backed. I think as a collective we could have killed each other already. We could have nuked each other, but we haven't. There's a reason for that because people want to see the human race continue.
Fair point. Most people don't want I mean, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Like, if we're so bloodthirsty, then we would just all kill each other until like the last
Yeah.
man standing, right?
Yeah. We have nuclear weapons that could kill this world over 20 times. All these nukes that we have is enough to kill Earth over and some.
Do you think it's human nature to love each other?
Yeah. Love is in human nature for sure. That is a human nature. We can look historically, men and women and men and whatever he/she's and since the beginning of time have loved each other. That's
Sure.
just a fact.
Yeah. So since the beginning of
But
time, go ahead.
I think
But what?
Love isn't really. I don't know. Love is a very convoluted word. It really is.
Sure, it is.
Because some people say it's a chemical reaction in your brain. Some people don't even think you can love. Really, they don't think love is an emotion.
Interesting. I'd like to chat with those people. They must
I
have
don't
sad
think like that,
lives.
but I've definitely talked to some people that think love is just nothing. It's just a chemical reaction.
Well, at the end of the day, everything's physical or chemical or it's some other thing. I think personally there's some kind of spiritual particle that we just haven't discovered or measured
Yeah,
yet, but that's just me.
That's the God that's God within us all. Being able to love, yeah, that's unearthly.
That's fair. So if we are able, so if it's human nature to love, and it's also
Yeah.
human nature to war, how do we
Mhm.
reconcile this? Like, how can both of those things exist within us?
They can't not simultaneously. They
Not
just cannot.
simultaneously.
Yeah, they don't work hand in hand. Love
Okay,
and war don't work.
so we cannot love while we're at war.
No, if you have love for other people, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. You wouldn't subject people to all this pain and anguish. If you loved anything, like if you loved your dog, you wouldn't hurt people. I don't think they can exist at the same time.
Okay, so you can't love while you're at war. Why then? How do we decide who we love and who we hate?
I think it's a lot of it's political, right?
Okay,
If I don't conform to what you believe, you dislike me. Most of the time, you're you're one of the select few people that will sit down and listen. But the right and the left are very much like that. It's both sided.
I agree. I think that there are a lot of, well, frankly, I'm gonna get shit for saying this. I've been more annoyed at the left lately, to be honest with you. And I
They're a
say that
lot.
as
They're
somebody.
similar in so many ways, dude. Like realistically, the right and the left are so similar that they can't even see it. They're so washed up and brainwashed that they can't realize and sit back like, hey, we're doing the same shit that these people are doing.
Right. Um, yeah, I mean, like nobody's listening to each other, right? Nobody's empathizing. Everybody wants to get angry at each other for their moment of catharsis and dopamine hit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, so this, so it's politics that kind of causes us to war with each other, right? That's
Yeah,
your answer.
100%. That's the leading. Yeah, that's one of the since the beginning of time, political views have been the leading causation of war. Yeah, I would have to say, yeah, not 100%, but majority.
So minus politics, we would only have love.
Then you get into religious views. There's been a lot of the Crusades and stuff. So I mean, political and religious views kind of coincide with each other too, because a lot of Christians are Republicans, and a lot of like agnostic and atheist people are Democrats and very left winged. There is a correlation.
Sure. So it's not just politics then.
Yeah, no,
Okay. So politics is a major driver of it, but that's not
and
the only
religion.
thing. And so
Yeah,
politics
yeah,
and religion.
yeah.
Would it be
That's the
fair to
leading
say,
cause.
yeah, the leading causes? So like, we'll say like at least like 75%.
I think more. I think more like
Okay.
95%, but that doesn't matter.
Sure. So point is, if we could solve the conflicts with both of those two things, politics and religion, 95% of all conflict would end.
100%. Yeah.
95%. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
So
no, 100%. Like the world would flip tremendously in hours if we could solve these problems. 100%. The world would be a better place if we could figure this shit out. Yeah.
absolutely. So one of those things we got to figure out is between you and me, we don't agree that about abortion because you think that just to wrap this back around because we're almost done here, we're almost out of time. But you think that fetuses are literally babies, and so therefore,
Yeah, they're humans.
yeah, so therefore, if you kill them, then you are committing infanticide, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So you believe that I helped fund infanticide, right?
Yes, but
Right.
that's your choice ultimately.
Okay.
That was your position. That was, I'm not gonna bash you. I'm not gonna call you a murderer. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna dwell on it. It's not the right thing to do in my eyes. But I'm not gonna. Who am I to throw rocks from a glass house? I'm a sinner. I think a lot of people can't seem to recognize that we all do fucked up shit. And
Sure.
you can't cast stones at somebody when you're doing fucked up shit. If you're not living accordingly and my beliefs to the Bible, then you really have no room for judgment, because we're all sinners. All sin is equal, mostly, you know. In
Sure.
God's eyes, if you sin, you're a sinner. There's only one unforgivable sin. But yeah, that's not my job to go around and judge people and crusade and do that kind of shit. No.
Sure. So even though you think that of me, you don't think I'm a bad guy deep down. You don't
No.
think that deep down
No.
I am a bad person, correct?
No.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so-
I
and-
that would be stupid, a stupid point, like a stupid thing to say.
Yeah, and just to turn this around on you, right? Just to be fair, because I've now forced you to say that I'm a baby, that I funded baby murder. So now I'll say that I think that you are supporting forcible pregnancy. You know, like you are you are supporting policies that violate the consent of women. You know, but we are still
Yeah,
sitting down
yeah.
here. All right, we're still sitting down. We're still hashing this out. We're still having this discussion. It's a very serious discussion because, you know, the things that we believe are fundamentally at odds with one another's worldviews. And in many other societies, you and I would have been in opposite factions of a war and we would have killed each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I can agree with that statement 100%.
And yet here we are not doing that, right?
Yeah, because people are changing every day.
Exactly. So you want to convince me that abortion's wrong, probably, if I had to guess.
Morally, yeah.
Okay, and I want to convince
100%.
you that it is a medical procedure that's necessary sometimes, right?
That's the
Sorry, let me put it this
the
way.
statistic of needing an abortion has significantly dropped since this Severian, and doctors can perform life-saving measures to save mother and child. It is a very, very low odds
Sure.
that
So
abortion is needed, none to little.
sure. So let me rephrase, just to be more fair. I want to convince you that abortion ought to be an elective procedure. It ought to be it ought to be an allowed elective procedure. Is that fair?
But that's just like saying like my biggest qualm with what you're saying is people being promiscuous. A lot of
Mhm.
people sleeping around. They can't conform to the consequences of their actions, so they justify taking another being's life because they can't step up, and that's not morally right. I can't
Right, and-
I can't get behind
Right.
that.
And I don't want to talk. I don't want to cut you off, but I do have to go. So, so real quick, just to make sure we're on the same page, I want to convince you that abortion ought to be an elective procedure, even if you personally still think that it's, you know, religiously, like by your religion, that it's killing a baby, right? I still want to try to convince you, either one, that it's not that, or two, that people ought to be allowed to have the choice to do that. Okay? I would like to do that someday.
That's like state issued murder. I don't even agree with the death penalty in America. I don't agree with
Okay,
that.
and I think that that what you want is fundamentally controlling women's bodies, and I know that you don't want to do that. That's not the type of person you are, but I do think that is what you're supporting. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I could say I could hit you with a double-edged sword. I could say that you want women to be able to unalive another human being in
Yes.
utero.
And that's my point. That's all I'm trying to say is that you believe that of me, I believe that of you, and yet here we are hashing it out peacefully because neither of us believe that the other person is coming from a bad place. You don't think I'm coming from
Yeah.
a bad place, do you?
No, we both coming from very good faith
Yeah.
and good intentioned
Yeah.
places. I can't say that you're coming at me ill will, because you're not. I give it to you. You're one of the left. I don't know if you consider yourself left or
I do.
right or center, but you're the only left creator on any platform I've ever talked to that can sit down and have civilized conversations. I will give you that 100%, and I commend you for that. That is super honorable. Like dude, I don't think you understand how honorable that shit is. I have a lot of respect for you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And that's one of the reasons that I enjoy talking to you, even if we have these fundamental disagreements. I think at the end of the day, we're going to be able to come together and hash this out. Okay?
Yeah.
That's my only point.
As people, it is our duty to have these uncomfortable conversations. It really is.
Indeed.
The more uncomfortable that the conversation is, the more needed that the conversation is there.
I think that's some solid wisdom. I'm going to carry that one forward. In fact, I might actually make that my quote of the day tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I got to get to the next conversation. Lisa's been waiting a little bit. I want to thank
All
you
right,
very
brother.
much for coming on tonight. If you ever
Yeah,
want to
if you-
have a more extensive conversation, you can hit me up. We'll set something up, okay?
Yeah, for sure. I'll text you as soon as you're done. Yeah, because I would like to talk more.
Sure. Probably not tonight. I got other
Yeah,
stuff going
yeah.
on, but, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
God
Well, you
bless.
take care, okay? Yeah, have a great night.
Yep. God bless everybody in here. Everyone have a great evening.
All right, you as well. See, that was a great example of how I want conversations to take place. Does that make sense? Like, you know, like we believe, like fundamentally, he and I are on completely different pages when it comes to abortion. He thinks that I'm murdering babies. I think that he's controlling women, their bodies, and forcing them to do things with their bodies that they don't want, you know? And I'm not saying that that makes him right or me right. I'm not saying that I think I'm right. Otherwise, I wouldn't think the things I do. But I'm not saying. What I'm trying to say is, I still can fundamentally believe. I just joined out to be interested in chatting. Unfortunately, I do have a pre-scheduled meeting right now with Lisa, and then after that, I'm going to call it quits for the night, probably. But if you would like to set, I'm going to be doing this. Your name looks familiar. I'm going to be doing this a little bit more regularly, I think. And if you want to set up a one-on-one conversation that's longer than 15 minutes, we can do that. You can DM me, okay? First, let me check. Lisa, are you there? There we go. Okay, she's here. In just a second here. I'm just finishing up my Clodsire. Okay.
Oh, hi.
Lisa,
Hi,
hello.
everybody.
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing alright. How about you?
I am also doing all right. What can I do for you this evening?
I feel like I would like to talk about immigration because I've been having some doubts myself. You know,
Excellent.
like I've been seeing a lot of stuff happen lately, and I've seen really good arguments against like forced immigration, a lot of immigration, not forced immigration, that doesn't exist, but like
Mm-hmm.
that immigration, all that stuff. You know, I am Brazilian, so I'm probably not gonna understand much about the situation in the US. I mean, I understand a bit because I studied something about it. So I kind of want to talk about it, you know,
Sure, absolutely.
and
So
and
what?
how immigration
Yeah,
comes to stuff.
yeah. So what conclusions have you been coming to about immigration?
I feel like illegal immigration kind of leads to a lot of not bad people getting in, but like loss. I would say that without regulation of who comes in and goes out, you cannot really be sure if the person's going to do good things or not. They're going to contribute or not really, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they might not contribute, they can stay there if they don't do any mess. But as I said before, I've met a person in Turkey online, and she said that like many immigrants just came there to do a lot of bad stuff with other people. They just raped, they killed, they do a lot of bad things, and that's that's one thing that gets me worried when it comes to that aspect. I know it's mostly people trying to survive, but you also gotta admit there are bad actors in there that can get into the country and do a lot of bad things. So for and also there's the thing that illegal immigrants can actually use are harder to deport because you don't have their register or not or nothing really. So you cannot know who they are and what they did and when they did. So that's one of the issues as well. I would say my proposal to fix this is that like you gotta stop deporting the immigrants right now. All these immigrants that Trump's deporting, don't deport them. They are already in the country, so they already established themselves there. So what we need to do is let them there, leave them there, give them a registry of immigration, block the borders, like not block the borders for legal immigrants. I'm saying block the borders for like I would say just increase the patrolling and all that stuff, so you can prevent more people from getting in, and as well as like I would say deporting anyone who doesn't have a registry yet from that point on. So then we can stop relying on legal immigration to make services cheap, I would say.
Okay, I was with you up until you said increase border patrol. How do you propose this will help?
I propose this will help by keeping immigrants out of the country, you know, like
Immigrants or
monitoring
illegal immigrants?
illegal immigrants. Sorry.
Okay, just making sure. You're fine. I don't want to be uncharitable.
All right.
So
So
keep it.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You go.
So basically, what I have in mind, drone systems like fences, the big wall Trump proposes. I don't know. That's a meme, by the way. But like
Mhm.
uh, monitoring systems and all that stuff, so you can prevent drug cartels from getting stuff in as well because they do that a lot. I live in Brazil. I know how that shit is, and they get guns a lot from outside places, and that's not good. Organized crime here is pretty bad. And there's also that aspect that like illegal immigrants can in the US have the obligation to be like treated once like are there are emergencies. I think that's a good thing, but the problem is that can be easily exploited by the fact that they don't have registries, so they can just leave the US afterwards and get their emergency care and not pay anything, and then that's redirected to the American contributor, you know?
Sure. Do you believe in? I want to stick on that last point. Do you believe in universal health care?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But for people who pay taxes.
For people who pay taxes. So then let's naturalize these citizens, as you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not. Well, and also they do pay taxes. Like illegal immigrants do pay taxes.
Yeah, but I'm saying that like not I'm not saying the illegal immigrants who tend to stay in the US, but I'm talking about illegal immigrants just who come in, get an informal job, like with drug traffic, get like hit by something and go to an emergency thing, and then over there they get treated and get away from the US because they don't want to pay the bills. I'm talking about that kind of immigrants who didn't have any process through any legal framework, who didn't pay any taxes. I'm talking about that
But you don't.
specifically.
But you don't believe they should be forced to pay the bills.
I believe they should because they are not paying the taxes that we would be used to make the healthcare system work.
But they are paying taxes.
What? How were they, though?
Well, when they buy things, like part of that goes to taxes. There are some other ways too. I'm not well versed in it, but I know they do pay taxes.
Mm,
And often,
I
like,
see.
not only do they pay taxes, they don't benefit from those taxes much at all. Like they do in the sense that they can use public services, like certain public services, like public libraries, they can just waltz in there. Police, like not police, obviously they can't use the police, but they can use like highways. They can use highways. There's some things they can use, but they are paying taxes and they don't get all of the benefits of paying taxes.
I see. That makes a lot of sense, I would say.
Yeah.
But also, like, at the same time, I don't feel like they pay as much taxes as a normal US citizen would and as a normal legal immigrant would, you know?
Sure. So I think let's say that that's true. because I'm not sure, but let's say it's true. So you don't think it's fair then that they're not paying as much and they're still receiving like they're basically getting free healthcare.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Do you think that you ought to be obligated to pay in order to get free healthcare?
Yeah, that's basically the only way for us to get free healthcare, like Texas and stuff.
Okay. Then how can you call it free healthcare?
Um, well, it's impossible to have free healthcare without like paying taxes.
Right. So let me see if I can find a better way to put this. So we want healthcare to be free at the point of service, correct? Both of us.
Yeah,
So
of course.
free at the point of service. So that's what basically these people are getting. So like what your gripe with that is they're not paying into the system. Whereas you are. So basically you feel like you're paying for their healthcare, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so let's reconcile this. Do you think that they want to be illegal immigrants? Do you
No,
think
they
that's
don't.
worth it? Okay. So it's not worth it, right? Like even if that is a benefit, quote unquote, it's not worth it to be an illegal immigrant, right?
Yeah, of course it isn't.
Yeah. So then they want to be legal. They want to pay more
No.
taxes. Sorry, they want to be
Yeah.
legal, not illegal. They want to be legal. They want to pay more taxes.
I would say they would like to live in the US because their countries are completely devastated right now.
Sure,
You
but
know?
the consequence is they'll pay more taxes, right?
Yeah.
Right. So they want to pay more taxes, ultimately. They may
I
not
don't
be
think
like
they
they
would
may not
like
be at the
to.
forefront of their minds, but what they want will incur that consequence, correct?
Yeah, they wanted to like have like a way to be like, hey, I'm here legally. I can finally do my stuff. I can finally live a life in a not devastated country. Finally, you know.
Right.
I would say
Right.
so.
That may be what's at the forefront of their mind, but again, the consequence is they will pay more in taxes, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So they think that is worth it. They're fine with paying more taxes, but they don't get to get citizenship because it's difficult, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then the solution here again is to naturalize them, which you've already said. So like I guess I'm just confused as to like what the disagreement here is. Like so you want more patrols. How did we get here? You want more
Yeah.
patrols to keep illegal immigrants from coming in, but yet you don't think that the illegal immigrants, for the most part, who are here are doing bad things. They all want to be legal citizens and they're working and they're not paying as much in taxes, maybe, but they want to pay more in taxes. They want to become citizens.
Yeah, I would say so. There are certain people who don't want to. There are certain cartels in Mexico that want to go in there and do all that contraband, you know. But for the most part, legal immigrants work and they receive less money and they contribute to society, making things way cheaper.
So, do you think that in total, here's a good question. Do you think that in total, the illegal immigrant population that comes into the United States or is present currently in the United States, do you think that's a net gain or a net loss? Do we want these people or do we not want them? If you had to take them all together.
I feel like you can't take them all together because if you do, you're not gonna have infrastructure for everyone. So you would have to block the border for a bit, open again, block, open, block, open.
Mm-mm. I think you misunderstood. I'm not saying let the floodgates open. I'm saying if you take the sum total of the illegal population, the illegal immigrant population that is present currently in the United States, right? Take that group of people and you can decide either you get to keep them here or you get to deport them. Okay? All
Keep
of
them.
them. Keep them. Okay,
You
got
gotta
it.
keep them.
So what you think then is that illegal immigration is a net gain for the United States, correct?
Not really. I feel
No.
like illegal immigrants like can be bad because like they don't have a registry.
Right, but we've agreed that most of them are good, right?
Yeah,
So it's a net gain.
I would say so.
Right. So illegal immigration is a net gain.
Yeah, at the same
As a yeah,
time, they
go on.
kind of the current American population is gonna be kind of mad at it, because they
Right.
might take some jobs and all that stuff and all those problems. So we don't have infrastructure to get everyone in just yet, so we cannot capitalize off. I mean, not capitalize. We cannot like benefit from illegal immigration because it's illegal, and we gotta just do things slowly so we can assimilate people and not cause like a really big problem to occur.
Right. I'm not saying we open the floodgates. What I'm saying is, once again, we we both recognize that illegal immigration being a thing that can happen, it's better for that to be a thing that can happen than for there to be no immigration at all, correct?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
So then why do you want more border patrol letting fewer people in? That doesn't make sense to me.
Because basically what I'm proposing is that like we open the borders at certain times, people get in, get more jobs and do all that stuff. We assimilate
Mhm.
them, and while we are assimilating them and assimilating them into American culture and enriching Americans' own culture, we block the borders and patrol it so no illegal immigrants come in, and we can deport anyone who doesn't have a registry. So afterwards, we can open the gates again, so some people can come in, and then we do that again and again and again until we assimilate people and build infrastructure for all of them. Because if we don't, we cannot receive that much.
Okay, why can we not assimilate people while we continue letting people in? What's the problem?
It's because we don't really have the infrastructure to do so. If we keep having influx of people, have you seen the housing prices in America? I mean, you have, of course. And like, we don't have buildings for everyone. We need more buildings. We need more stuff. We need more development. But that's not something that happens.
So we've already agreed that illegal immigration is a net gain for us.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, but that would cease to be true if we don't have the resources to support them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so is it a net gain or a net loss, or is it neutral?
I mean, it depends of the state of the current state of the U.S.
Okay, so what's the current state? Are we good?
I would say it's not good right now because like the housing prices are extremely large, and for now we just can't have people coming in and all that stuff. We gotta let the people who are already in here go in, and but at the same time we cannot allow more people to come in. I mean, legal immigrants are fine as long because like I would say they are professionals at what they do, so they should be let in, and they're going to contribute more to society than a lot of other people. You
So
know?
what we're doing right now is we're untangling an inconsistency in your logic. We've struck gold. Do you understand that?
How?
Because you
How's
keep
that?
flip-flopping. You keep flip-flopping. You're going back and forth between, oh, it's good, but it's not good, but then it is good, but then it's not good, but it still is good, but this way it's not good. And it's like, well, I asked, is it a net gain or a net loss? And you seem to not be able to just pin down which one it is. Because you keep saying, well, yeah, it's a net gain it's a net gain because they do work, but it's a net loss because we don't have the resources, but it's a net gain because like they're paying taxes, but it's a net loss because they're not paying enough taxes, but it's like, which is it? Is it better for them? Like you've already stated that it is better for us to have illegal immigration than no immigration at all, but that ceases to be true if we don't have the resources necessary to sustain this population, right?
Exactly.
Right. So do we have those resources?
Um, that's a great question. I would say we don't have them because
Okay.
I mean, I'm not American, but like the USA is filled with people as of right now. We could use the deserts, which have no one living there, but we would have to naturalize them, of course, to make more housing and all that stuff, and make more cities and build more infrastructure and progress. But like that's a really far reality from us right now. You see?
Okay, so we don't have the resources. So let's try to modify this logic a little bit because now we're in a situation where if we let any more in, it becomes a net loss, right? That's
Yeah.
your argument. Okay, so the people here now are fine, but if we let it, like if we let any more in, then it's going to quickly spiral because we simply don't have the resources to take care of them all, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, now I would contest that personally. I think that we have plenty of resources.
Do you have infrastructure though?
We can make it. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah, but can we make it really if the government doesn't do anything?
Not if the government doesn't do
And
anything.
yeah, but that's the current situation with the US government. Like, you can't do anything. We are stuck in this place where the government doesn't do anything. They just keep going back and forth between Democrats and Republicans, and there's nothing we can do about it. You know, I
Sure.
mean, we can vote, but
Sure.
like,
So
what is it gonna do? Solve our
so then
problems? No, not really.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. I thought I keep thinking you're gonna stop your statement and then you don't. Sorry. But anyway, so the government doesn't do anything, so then the government's not going to stop the immigration, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then why are we telling the government to do a thing like stop the influx rather than tell the government to build the infrastructure?
Hmm. That's a good question.
Yeah.
But there will be at some point where we won't be able to get any more in afterwards.
Maybe one day, but I just don't think that we're even close. Like we have plenty of resources.
I mean, if the US didn't spend so much on war,
Maybe, yeah. Maybe we should stop some wars. What do you think?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, as long as we're telling the government to do shit, might as well tell them to do that, right?
Yeah, but I don't think the government's gonna obey. That's the problem. So I feel
Right.
like for the current state of the government, we should not allow immigrants in, but like at the same time, if the government was
Uh,
perfect, we should let them in, you know?
but you're still telling the government to do things that are suboptimal. Why are you telling the government to do things that are suboptimal? You're already telling them what to do, you know?
Hmm,
Just tell them to
I
do good
see.
things. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Tell them to do the best things. Like, why tell them to do? Well, no, it's okay if you don't want to do this. That I hear you, government, but also maybe just please, pretty please, I'm on my hands. Like, that's cucked. That's cucked.
Yeah, I get your point. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. It sounds like you and I fundamentally agree. You, I don't want to be mean. I'm gonna be a little mean though. It just sounds like you're cucked to the government.
It's because in Brazil things don't work pretty well. Like, I mean, I think you guessed that why. Like,
Hmm.
one thing that happens a lot here is that we have a government system called SUS. Like, yeah, it's literally called SUS. I'm not kidding.
I love
And
that
it's
name.
basically Sistema Universal de Saúde,
Hmm.
or Universal System of Healthcare. So basically, it's public, and it accepts people from immigrants and everything, even immigrants that don't pay taxes, that just come in for the services. Like, there's a guy in Paraguay, all right?
Hmm.
There's Brazil. The guy goes from Paraguay, goes interested in Brazil, goes to SUS, doesn't pay taxes of anything, goes to the medical thing, does his thing, comes back to Paraguay, doesn't pay anything, and basically the people subsidize them who didn't pay taxes at all.
Okay, and why does the government do this?
Because it's dumb
Because they're just
and it's
stupid. The,
corrupt.
the government is all just made of idiots who love giving money away to immigrants, right?
Not
There's no
really.
reasoning.
Not at all.
I don't know if
I
I
would say the
believe you.
government's. No, seriously, look it up. That things happen.
No,
Those
no,
things
no.
happen.
I believe that the basic outline of what you're trying to describe happens, but I don't believe there's no reason for it. I believe that if I look into it, I'll find something that makes this make sense. What do you think?
It's because it is in this constitution that every human being should be treated equally and every human being has the right for
Ah,
healthcare and all that stuff. That's the main reason I think so.
but you
But
agree with
like
that.
at the same, yeah, I would say I agree with that, but I agree with that in part because I agree that people should be paying taxes and not abuse the system, you know.
Okay, so free healthcare as long as you're not abusing the system, right? Otherwise, you got to
Yeah.
pay, or you die.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you die.
Mm, That's a good question, actually.
Yeah,
That's a really moral question, actually.
yeah. I'm glad that you see where I'm going with this. It seems like you're listening very well. I like. Again, it sounds like I understand where you're coming from, but it simply sounds like you are going for half measures because you don't think that the government is capable or powerful enough or willing or whatever to do the things that you actually want to do. Because it sounds like what you actually want is for everybody to be taken care of to some extent. You want their healthcare needs covered. You want people to be able to move freely between whatever place they want to, provided they're not hurting anybody, right? Like to some extent at least. Like we want the same things. What's the disconnect? What do we disagree on?
Mm, I don't know really. I think we all agreed at the same time. I was just doubtful about my own opinions.
Well, there you
Like
go.
I have heard a lot about right-wing media and all that stuff. So
Well, there
yeah,
you go. Yeah, you and I want the same things, right? We agree.
yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so then I think that it would be good then, since we both want the same things, to try like so you can't think currently of anything that we disagree on, right? Like given everything that we've discussed so far, is there any questions that you still have about my logic?
Hmm. I would say that like, um, do you really need borders anyways? Like, I feel like the world should be united, to be honest, but like we can't do that right now because we are really just destroyed, and all the cultures and etc. are gonna kill each other and all that stuff because Muslims hate Christians, Christians hate Muslims. Not generalizing though, there are some Christians that don't hate Muslims, and there are a lot of Christians who don't really hate Muslims, and a lot of Muslims who don't hate Christians. I would say so.
Right. I'm not saying to abolish borders overnight. I don't think that would be
Yeah,
conducive, um, or productive. I think that what needs to happen is that needs to be the end goal, right? And I
yeah,
think that hopefully you and I can agree on that. You and I can agree on that.
yeah,
Um,
of course.
yeah, the abolition of borders. I just don't think they're necessary for the human race. Um, they serve only to divide, right? Like we can separate places based upon like, oh, this is Ohio. I basically I want a state system. I want a state system for the entire world. You know, because we need to delineate where we are in the world currently. Obviously, that's what the border would be for, is to just delineate where in the world we're at. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm in Yonkers, New York. I'm in Las Vegas, California, Las Vegas, Nevada. Right? Like
Yeah,
that's what borders should be for.
yeah, but like, I feel like the process of uniting people is already happening
I think so too.
because
I think the
like,
internet is helping with that.
yeah, the internet's helping us unite, but at the same time divide because of
Yeah,
the polarization and stuff.
yeah, that too, for sure. But I do think that overall, the internet is but a tool. Um, I wonder why this person brought up Vegas. Not just because of you, James. There's somebody else I know who's in Vegas right now. Oh, you think you're so special. But anyway, like I said, it seems like you and I want the same things. It just seems like we are at odds a little bit of how to accomplish those things, right? Would that be fair?
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
so. Like, I'm not a communist. I'm a socialist, I would say.
Okay. I think that's, I mean, like, within our lifetime, that's basically the same thing.
Hmm.
Communism
I
is not
see.
happening in my lifetime. Like, not really. So, you know, we align. We're fine. We're cool.
I see.
Yeah. Socialism is
I
but the
feel
first step, in my opinion.
I feel like it's the end step because going for communism wouldn't really work because like people will never agree on stuff.
I just disagree fundamentally. You and I,
Uh,
just now, agreed. We came into this
yeah,
thing fundamentally disagreeing on what to do about immigration, and we came to an agreement.
yeah.
Unless you still don't agree with me.
No, I agree with you.
Well, there you go. It
But
is possible,
are you
see?
sure? Are you sure there aren't any major, more urgent problems in the U.S. rather than like spending our resources with immigration?
Spending what? Sorry. Our resources?
With immigration, aren't there like more important issues right now that we can do rather than focus on solving a single issue?
I mean, we can focus on multiple issues at once, for one thing. And for another thing, I think that immigration is a major issue. Like, just look at what Donald Trump's doing with Alligator Alcatraz and all that.
I see.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's just one of many issues that I try to pay attention to. I'm not like it's not exclusive, but I do think it's very important to talk about, and I'm glad that you came on to talk about it because I think that I still can't get over like. Are you serious? Like we just agree on everything when it comes to immigration now?
I don't know. I feel like I was already like, oh, immigration is this and that. So I kind of was like, the circumstances are not okay for this, you know?
Right. So you're just not sure about the circumstances, but ultimately your goals and my goals are the same when it comes to immigration, right?
Yeah, I don't
That's
want
fair.
I want everyone to live happily, you know? It's
That's
important,
great.
especially because of war zones like Mexico. I mean, Mexico is not a war zone itself, like the gang territories and all that stuff. Brazil is like kind of struggling right now with organized crime as well,
Right.
and
So
nobody will
yeah.
do anything about it.
So let's say this. Let's say like we reach a point where you know not much changes, but we do change the immigration policies, right? And
Yeah,
such that it now is what I want to happen, whereby we make it easier for people to come in. We still have background checks, we still do all that stuff, but no more border patrol. I don't think we need it. Maybe like a tiny little bit, but just to like, you know, keep out people who are seeking to do bad. But for the most part, we don't need it. So let's just say that we reach the point where that's happening, right? And then we run out of resources. Okay. What do you think we should do next?
what or we run out of land, right? It can
Sure.
also happen. That can also happen.
Well, I don't think we'll run out of land anytime soon. There's plenty of land. But sure, you know what? Let's grant that. Let's just say we run out of land. Then what?
Well, I feel like at that point in time, people would be so united that like we can do basically a lot of things.
Yep. There you go. And where I was going with the resources thing is just take it from Jeff Bezos, right?
I mean, he doesn't need it anyways.
There you go. See, you and I just like this is great. This is exactly what I'm trying to do. And I know that you're already a socialist, so this was easy mode. But like, You and I came to an understanding and an agreement on immigration where we came into this conversation fundamentally disagreeing on some things.
I see. I think some people thought I was a fascist. That's
See,
funny.
that's the freaking problem. Like, I can't stand leftists sometimes. Like, if you just fucking sit down and hash it the fuck out, we can come to an understanding, people. We just did. For Christ's sake, just try to communicate once in a while. Oh, you're a fascist. You're a fascist. You're literally a fucking trans socialist. Christ almighty.
Yeah.
And what did that
It's
do?
fine.
Let me ask you something. What did that do to your mentality when they called you a fascist? Did that pull you closer to their beliefs?
Not really. I mean, I
No.
already was, basically.
It pushed you further away, didn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, you can't call people, you can't accuse people outright of stuff because that will lead them to feel basically like, oh, they're accusing me of stuff. I can't do anything. Fuck this. I'm not gonna listen to them. I don't care. You know, you can't accuse
Yeah.
people of lying. You can't accuse their arguments. You can't accuse anything. If you slip up, they're not gonna want to listen to you anymore. I feel like it.
Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, that's why it's so important to not slap these labels on people right off the rip and just talk.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and when I'm in private, obviously, like, you know, I still think Charlie Kirk was a fascist. I still think that there are people who have fascist leanings in this server even. But, you know, I'm not going to sit there in a conversation with them and just call them to their face a fascist. It's not productive.
Of course it isn't.
So,
I honestly don't think Charlie was a fascist. I feel like he was more of a Christian nationalist. So
well,
yeah.
potato, potato. But agree to disagree on that. Anyway, is there anything else that you wanted to discuss before I let you go? We've been talking about almost 40 minutes now.
Yeah, like I would say I would like to have more of a spiritual talk now.
Sure, why not? I'll give you about 20 minutes. Sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Let's do it.
So yeah, what are what are your thoughts on like um life as a whole?
How long you got? Oh, goodness.
No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Like what are your thoughts on like death, being born and all that stuff?
How long you got? You just asked me the same
Okay.
question. No. I can answer it if you want. I can be as succinct as possible, but it is a long answer.
Um, what do you think happens after death?
How long you got? So I guess what happens after death is so as an atheist, I used to believe that it was nothing. The lights just kind of go out, right? I don't think I buy that anymore. I think that there is a spiritual particle of some sort that exists that we simply cannot or have not been able to measure as of yet. So, because in my opinion, right, we're all made of matter, we're all made of energy, and we're all made of some kind of conscious element, correct?
Yeah.
You can have matter and energy independent of like consciousness as we experience it, right? So there's something more there. It's either some combination of matter and energy that create us, or there's some kind of spiritual or mental element, like conscious element there that we simply have not accounted for yet. You know, there's a particle of some kind of like antimatter. Like we can't measure antimatter. We just know that it probably exists due to certain deductions that we've made, right? So in the same vein, I think that there's some kind of particle that exists that leads to consciousness, you know, that we have within us right now.
I see.
I think that there are smaller amounts of it, the simpler life that you get. I think there's smaller amounts of it in animals, which I think Plants have fungi have a smaller amount than that. Plants have a smaller amount than that, and so on and so forth until you get like to the first bacterium in the primordial soup, right? Which had like
I
the
see.
bare minimum amount. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it would seem that this conscious material drives structure, right? It drives network. It seeks to connect, because what happened with the first, the first bacterium, right? It started to like differentiate and divide. I guess that goes counter to what I was just saying, but it started to differentiate and divide itself, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a drive to reproduce, right? Make more of yourself. But then there's also a drive to connect with those more of yourselves. You want to reproduce, and then you want to come back together, if that makes sense, into a more complex system, right?
I see.
The goal is to break apart the whole and then rearrange it in such a way that it is more interconnected and organized. You're basically breaking empathy. You're breaking entropy, right?
I see.
Because entropy works the other way around. Entropy typically works by I told you this was long, by the way. Entropy typically works by like things become more disorganized as time goes on, but life works the opposite way, where it gets more organized, right? So it breaks itself apart, and then it comes back together in more organized fashion. So we have the first primordial soup. We have the first bacterium divides itself, and then they start like consuming each other because they have to survive, whatever. And then there's some genetic differentiation. Some things get smaller, some things get larger. They start to grow little tentacles or whatever, just because of like genetic variation, right? Just random chance, things happen, and then there are mutations and things differentiate. So then what you have is the mitochondria, the ancestor of the mitochondria. And the current working theory about how there's prokaryotes and there's eukaryotes. Prokaryotes don't have mitochondria. That's the primary feature of prokaryotes, right?
Yeah, and their nucleo. How do you say that in English? Nucleo. Is unorganized.
Nucleus.
Yeah, their nucleus is unorganized, while eukaryotes
Yes.
are.
Yes, and they also don't have a mitochondria.
Yeah.
So there's two differentiating factors: no nucleus and a nucleus. So eukaryotes have a nucleus, and I haven't really thought too much about that. I'll have to think more. But the other factor that makes them so unique is that they have a mitochondria. And for some reason, the mitochondria... So the way that they kind of think this happened is that a larger bacterial cell consumed a smaller one, and then just by random chance, it turned out that the smaller one could not only sustain itself inside of the bacterium, but it was even better for it, right? And so it just kind of stuck around. And not only that, but it produced energy for the cell. So there's a symbiotic relationship now between the bacterium and the mitochondria, right?
Yeah.
And that is a eukaryotic cell that just was created from two different ones. They came together into a symbiotic relationship and made something incredible, extraordinary. Right? Life. That's the origin of multicellular life. If not for that occurrence, everything that's alive would still be a single-celled organism. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Yeah. I have my views on what happens after death. Like, they are
Oh yeah, that's
pretty
where we started.
weird, I would say. Yeah, they are pretty weird, I would say. Like, I personally don't believe we reincarnate, but it kind of is like we reincarnate, but at the same time, not really. It's complicated.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes. I agree. Okay, so there's this this is getting way into the weeds. Have you seen The Amazing Digital Circus?
Yeah, I did.
Great. Perfect. So I have a theory. I think that in the Amazing Digital, and if you haven't watched it, I'm sorry. If you're watching this on YouTube or whatever, fuck you. Go watch it. I have a theory that, well, I'm not talking to them. So my theory is that when you are, what's the word they use again? Abstracted. When you abstract, your body and your mind are both broken down into code. Now, in there, it's both your body and your mind because it's like a digital body, but they're broken down into code, and that code is then distributed amongst NPCs, and it's mixed and matched with other people's codes, right? And so, my theory is that Gummy Goo is actually a mashup of Kaufmo and Ribbit, right? Think about it.
Yeah.
They have the same color schemes. They like he even has like that stomach patch that Ribbit had. He's a reptile. Ribbit was an amphibian, so I think he has more of Ribbit inside of him. But the funny part, right, the clown part, because Kaufmo always told jokes, is that he has the name Gummy Goo, which is hilarious, right? So I think Ribbit was like this chill, laid back dude who just was like, you know, fun to be around and cool and whatever. And Kaufmo was this goofball that joked around all the time. And I have my theories about Kaufmo as well. And so the funny part of that, like, it's mostly Ribbit in there, but it's some Kaufmo, and that part of that's Kaufmo is the funny name. Because what are his brothers' names? Do you know? Or his,
Not
his
really.
buddies? His buddies.
No.
They're named Max and Chad. So they got the name parts. You know what I mean? Like they got the
Yeah.
name parts. Like they just got like basic names. So anyway, my point in all this is I think that in real life it's similar to how that works. I think that that your soul is kind of broken down into code and redistributed amongst the universe.
I see. My theory is a little bit different, but it has basically the same aspect. I call it anicism, meaning no connection. That's what it means.
Okay.
I would say like that once we die, there would be a black screen. All right. You would see nothing, nothing anywhere, not even a black screen. Anything, absolutely nothing. But when I started thinking about it, like our brains can't process nothing.
Correct.
So what if instead of um our little universe disappearing, which it doesn't. I mean it does, but like same time it doesn't. I'm There's a thing I gotta explain first. There is this thing as this metaphysical thing that I call subjective experience. And it's basically a phenomenon that happens with every living creature in the world. It basically is what makes us see, what makes us think, what makes us do anything. It's created by consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it started by consciousness, but like this is only like this subjective experience starts only in. It's not a thing. At the same time, it is a concept. It's not a thing that exists. You know, I feel like I'm getting too much in Jordan Peterson mode right here.
No,
Like,
you're good.
all right, so yeah, and this thing is what is a phenomenon that shows reality through the lens of us. So once we die, what will happen is that we are gonna die, we're gonna disappear forever. But instead of us dying and was seeing nothing for the rest of eternity, as our brain can't process nothing, like um other people would process life for us
Interesting.
with the subjective experience. But at the same time, they have no connection to us whatsoever.
So we kind of become everyone else.
I would say, yeah, I would say kind of.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Like kind of like our souls are redistributed amongst the population,
Yeah, I
rolled
wouldn't say
back into
there
the
are so.
collection.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there are souls, but I would say like that a subjective experience is basically impersonal. So yeah, there's no me, there's no I, there's no you, there's no anybody. But the subjective experience makes us experience things. I would say that.
That's interesting and very profound. I'll need a minute to process that. I I don't hate it though. I think it's similar to what I think in some ways. It's not
Mm.
exactly the same, but I think it bears similarities.
Yeah, I would say so. I got to that thinking about after thinking a lot about Buddhism because I am an atheist slash agnostic slash Buddhist because I like Buddhism, but I'm not Buddhist. You get a point.
Right.
So I kind of know about the noble truths as I chatted with you before and all that stuff.
Hmm.
You know,
Okay.
desire is one of the things that creates suffering, and we gotta control our mind so desire doesn't cause suffering, so we can finally rest. You know, and our objective is to achieve nirvana and all that stuff. So I would say like that suffering never stops. It will only stop when everyone is stopped suffering.
Have you ever heard of The Art of Peace by Morihei Ueshiba?
Not really.
Um, so I think that you would really like that book. It's a very short read. It's like 80 pages. And the guy who wrote it, Morihei Ueshiba, is a Japanese martial artist who founded the martial art known as Aikido. And it is basically the book is about the core. I think the core message of the book is he who is owned by nothing owns everything, right? So, or he who's controlled by nothing. I forget what exactly it is. I got to go back and look. But you would really like that book because he talks about it's very close to Buddhist teachings, very very close. It talks about how it's a lot of what inspired this mindset of mine. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I think that that quote really stuck out to me, and I would recommend that book for sure. It's called The Art of Peace. You should look into it.
I see.
Yeah, but anyway, I have
will take a
to.
look.
Yeah, I have to hop off here in a second. I'm getting very sleepy, so I'm probably just gonna end. I would like to go eat with my wife and watch something.
Oh, all right.
But this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed you coming on. Is
Oh, thanks.
there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
现在我很高兴我可以跟你聊聊。
Oh yeah, you speak Mandarin. I
Uh,
forgot.
yeah, a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very
Whoever
much.
translated that kind of got the message. So yeah, it's gonna
all
be
right.
a mystery. Bye bye.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You have a great night. Okay.
You too.
All right. Goodbye. Alrighty. Well, that does it. I thought we had some very solid conversations tonight. There were a few yappers, but that's okay. We love our yappers. They just need to yap a little less. But I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to be doing a lot more of this type of talk stuff. Next stream, I will try to do more reacts. I know a lot of people come here for the react segments and they want more of those. I know that I've been doing a lot of these talks lately, so I think next stream I'm going to focus solely on the reacts. Okay? Just for you guys. Just for you guys. There's a lot of stuff to react to anyway. People communicate through reactions, and you can have sort of a conversation in that way too. So, you know, we can definitely do that. Anyway, I'm going to drop you guys off. Let's see who's live. And I'm going to go eat. My food's probably cold by now. Riverboat Jack is live. Excellent. Okay. Redirect. Riverboat Jack. All right. Good to see you as well, Chainsaw. Hey, hit me up if you want to have a, if you ever want to have a convo. I don't just do debates, you know. All right. We are raiding now. Thank you all very much for coming. Love you all. Hope you all have a great night. I will be back soon. We'll do more Pikmin. We'll do more crochet stuff. We'll do more discussions. And we will do more reacts. It will be a fun time for all. So thank you very much. Take care. Have a great night. And I'll talk to y'all later.